feature today. We are doing a driving tour of Negril, Jamaica, particularly focusing on the West End. And this is a bit of a long video. It's about 40 minutes. And depending on where you're watching it, this will be in different parts or one long video. My name is Winthrop Wellington, by the way, and here on my channel, we really discuss all things Jamaica. But today, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing a bit of tour of Negril, and we're just going to flow with it. We're just going to flow with it and see where this takes us. So we are starting this tour off on Norman Manley Boulevard, otherwise known as the Beach Road at Travelers Beach Resort, which is my family's hotel. And of course, we gotta wait for the traffic, but across there on the left side of your screen, that is our NEAT Resource Center, or the Negril Education Environment Trust Resource Center. NEAT is my family's nonprofit organization, which focuses on education for young people. So right now we're heading south on Norman Manley Boulevard. Pretty beautiful day, as you can see. I don't know what the temperature was when we filmed this, but it was nice. It was a nice day. And so we're heading towards downtown Negril, and on your left is the shared user path. So that's running, walking, biking, and that goes for a little bit over 2 miles. To your right is the Negril Beach Park. It has a basketball court and the beach, of course, and just really open space. Unfortunately, it's closed right now. They have plans to do some refurbishing. And then we just passed the Negril Community Center. And then we're also passing the craft market on your right side. And this is the South Negril River and Bridge. And we're heading to the Negril roundabout. Of course, going into the roundabout, you have to give way. And if you're in the roundabout, you have the right of way. And we are going west end, so we're going to be taking a right here at the roundabout and veering left. And so here downtown, this is a few shopping centers, if you will. There's Little Caesars Pizza on the right, Popeyes, Burger King. There's a Digicel store down here as well. And on the left coming up is Scotiabank, which some people might be familiar with depending on where you are from, but it's a Canadian bank. And I guess officially this is where the west end of Negril starts. And on your left here is Corner Bar, which is a pretty popular restaurant. Great local food. Haven't had it in a while, but the reviews continue to be very good. And on the left, that's Vendors Plaza. That's the Negril Chamber of Commerce owned plaza. And on the right, obviously, we have the sea. Unfortunately, I don't think we panned right, but you basically can see the entirety of Negril on the right-hand side if you were to look right. You need to get a 360 camera next time, right? Anyway, on the left is the Negril Post Office. Not in the greatest of shapes, but that is our post office. And then right after that is Samuel's Hardware on the left. And that's, I would say, probably the most popular hardware store in Negril. Mostly every business uses them. And then on the left, the green building, that's Quality Traders. That's where I do my grocery shopping. Been going there for years. And then we're coming up on the, I guess what used to be the High-Low Value Master NCB Plaza, but NCB and High-Low moved. So that's no longer there, and that place is being refurbished. And this is called Church Corner. As we move through the West End. Just cruising. And this is the Negril Library on the left, and then followed by Negril All Age School. And then this is another hardware store on the left. Hope you guys are enjoying this so far. I'm just flowing with it, and as I see things, I want to point them out to you. On the right is the Negril Yacht Club, which is for sale. Hopefully, should be doing a video on that hopefully sometime soon. Canoe Bar is on the right. It's pretty much the only property on the west end that has a beach. Good food there. Haven't been there in a while either, but their food is pretty good. That used to be German bar, but I don't know what it is now, but boats used to pull up there. They used to have really good pizza. This used to be Boat Bar on the right, but it changed into something else. I'm not sure what it is now. And then Millard is on the left, and if you know Millard, that's 24 Hours Place. Good food as well. And then Patsy's is on the right, so they do, I think it's basically the only standalone coffee shop in Negril. And they do good pastries, good lunch. I did a live stream from there and also did a video with them as well for the channel, which was cool. This is Ocean Cliff on the right we just passed. I did the farewell dinner there for ThropX 2022. Beautiful property, formerly known as the Spa Retreat. But beautiful property, great food that we had there for the farewell dinner retreat. And here on the west end, like, it's a very different experience than the beach. As you can see, like, it's very, it's I wouldn't say secluded, maybe too strong of a word, but definitely when you're on the properties, it's a little bit more secluded and separated as compared to the beach, where there's just more traffic and no real, I guess, super separation between the properties. And really talking in terms of traversing. So to go from property to property here, you actually have to come out the property and walk along the roads here, whereas like the properties on the beach, you can either walk on the beach and go from property to property, or the road, if you will. And if you're across the street from the beach, then we have the shared user path, depending on where the property is. Now we are passing Samsara, which is friends of the family, another good small hotel in Negril. Sorry about that wind sound. I didn't anticipate that, but that just makes sense, just coming from the camera. This is Kaiser's. This was used to be a very famous place for shows back in the day, before my time. Coming up on the left and the right here is Ekstabi, great seafood place. Haven't been there in a while, but do enjoy their food. Great lobster during a lobster season. Three Dives coming up on the right here. Very, very popular restaurant, local restaurant. Great jerk chicken, jerk food in general. They were actually on the Amazing Race, if I'm not mistaken. Almost certain of that. Nice view here of the sea. We're passing Pushcart on the right, which borders its sister property, Rock House, one of my favorite restaurants in Negril. They also have an award-winning spa, one of my favorite spas in Negril, as a matter of fact. And haven't been there in a while. When I say a while, like a few months, but I'm a regular customer there for sure. They do excellent job. Very technical, and I guess you can call me bougie when it comes to massages, but I know what I like and I know what I want, and they do a fantastic job there. That's Corosi's Cliff we just looked at. And as you can see, we're literally just riding the coast here. The only thing separating us from the coast is the property. So this is as close as we can get in a vehicle moving through the west end. Today we're visiting the Pinnacle's beautiful 2-bedroom sample apartment located on the 3rd floor of Tower 1, the Swallowtail Tower. This unit is lagoon facing, offering open water views and a peaceful backdrop that defines the overall atmosphere of this space. This tour will give you a real sense of what to expect from these residents and what living will feel like here. The apartment features a double balcony, ensuite bathrooms, and a thoughtful layout designed for comfort and flow. So come along and join us for this stunning apartment tour. So Kanya, this is a 2-bedroom that we're seeing, the concept 2-bedroom.
Yes, this is our 1299 square feet lagoon facing 2-bed.
Okay, and we are on the 3rd floor?
We're on the 3rd floor, and remember, living starts on the 3rd floor. So this is the lowest possible level to live, lowest view that you'll get. Everything else is elevated, it goes up. So it's 1299 square feet. It's open concept, living, dining, kitchen. 9.5 feet is the distance between the ceiling and the floor. Category 5, hurricane-proof windows and doors. Quartz countertops, recessed lights, central air, and the furniture, of course, is for staging purposes.
Okay, and so everybody will have an opportunity to choose and design, decorate?
It depends.
Okay.
So in the residential tower, this tower, yes.
Okay.
But if you're in the Canary Tower and you're going to want to put your unit back with the hotel, we have a tier, different options that you can choose from.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously fully customizable, dream furniture, dream table.
Of course, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Beautiful. And now moving into the bedroom, which bedroom
Primary
is this?
bed.
This is the primary bed.
This is primary bed. So you get this view. It's a rainy day, but still a beautiful view.
Definitely.
From this primary bed, look at the space. It's a king-size bed, night tables. You can recline here, ensuite bathroom with a wet room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have your big bath where you can soak, and then there's also a shower.
So that's one thing that I really like about this is that
The space.
this space.
The
I didn't
space.
know that's what it's called, the wet room.
I just had a client say to me the other day, that's not really a bathroom, it's a wet room. And I'm like, yeah, it is a wet room.
is.
It's a wet room. You close this door and it's a wet room.
And it definitely has that indoor-outdoor feeling.
Yes. And you won't be outside looking in, you won't be able to see, but you can stay inside and look outside. So you can be soaking while taking in that view.
Yeah, nobody can see you.
Yes.
That's good. That's awesome. Oh, I love the layout. I love the tall ceilings as well. I'm a huge fan.
Of high ceilings. Yeah.
Definitely.
Very nice.
And you get 2 balconies here.
Yes. So you have one to the left and then one in front, and then this one. Ooh, you feel that breeze?
Yeah.
This one goes all the way down to the secondary bed.
And I also like the fact that each bedroom has its own bathroom.
And closet.
And closet, right.
Own bathroom and closet, so you can have your own privacy. One thing else that I like about this, about all the units, although it's central air, each unit still has your own control. So you can have the AC out here, the master one is on, and you can adjust it to what you want in your bedroom, on, off, whatever the temperature. You can do that in your bedroom.
Very nice.
Closet space, bathroom. See how the lights came on? See how the lights came on? I didn't touch anything.
I love it. Nice. Very nice. Again, tall ceilings, tall enclosure as well.
A lot of space for showering.
Tons and tons of space. I love the inset as well. Anytime I go, it feels like a hotel, you know. And
The finishes? Yes.
The finishes, but anytime I go to a hotel, like the bathroom is so important. And having that, as simple as that is, it is a huge convenience.
It is, absolutely.
Very beautifully designed. And this behind us with the balcony.
This is a balcony with more views.
Very nice.
Grade 12A porcelain tiles. And same, we're consistent with the windows and doors. 9.5 feet. Category 5 hurricane proof.
Excellent. And we just went through Melissa. Still here. No problem.
here.
Nothing. No issue at all.
No damages at all.
And I would presume that because the glass is so thick and it is made for that type of impact, that's why it's so quiet in here.
Exactly.
And you don't hear the outside traffic or even the rain that is coming down right now.
You hear nothing from outside.
That's crazy.
There's construction going on right now. You don't hear any construction noises. Once they're closed, that's it. It blocks out all the noise.
That's
amazing.
Talk about peace and quiet.
Peace of mind, serenity, relaxation. Yes.
Oh, this is great. This is great. And how much would a unit like this go for?
This right now is 691,000. This exact unit.
691,000.
Yes.
Man, get it while you can.
Get it while you can.
Get it while you can. Now, this is absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Kanya, for taking the time.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed the tour of this third floor, 2-bedroom, lagoon-facing apartment at the Pinnacle Swallowtail Tower. If you'd like more information on the Pinnacle, please scan the QR code on the screen or visit the link in the description below. This podcast is supported by Discovery Water. Whether I'm working or training, I reach for Discovery Water. 100% premium Jamaican spring water. Bottled in glass, no plastic, no gimmicks. Refill, not landfill. Just clean, natural hydration from right here on the island. Happy Sunday, everyone. You all are doing well. I see from the comments, everybody is a little chilly out there. Hope you guys can see me okay. We got trying out a new camera here today. And hopefully it looks clean, hopefully it looks good. But just added another one to the arsenal. Of course, happy Super Bowl Sunday as well. It's crazy as I didn't know who was playing in the Super Bowl until maybe 4 days ago. I'm just completely out the loop here, which is unbelievable. Super Bowl used to be, I should say football, American football used to be such a big part of my life. Like just growing up since I like some of my first memories and right through college and after college. And now I have not a clue any of the players. I don't know the quarterbacks. I don't know nothing. Anyway, just kind of gives you an idea of like where my mind is, and then also, I guess, growth at the end of the day. So I'm gonna stick around for the game. I don't know who everyone here is rooting for. Definitely looking forward to the halftime show. I do know about that. But the weather here, I guess we can't complain. I can't complain about the weather here based on what some people are saying in the comments. Of course, please let us know where you're chiming in from, what city, what state, what country. Always love to hear it. It has been, I'm sure many of you are aware, it's been very chilly here, very, very windy throughout Jamaica. Definitely same here in Negril. I have my wearing a hat and have my not even a jacket. What would I call it? Call it my London Marathon running jacket. I don't even know what you call it, but that's kind of been the staple attire these last few days. Thankfully, it's easing up. The sea is a little rough still, but it's a lot calmer than it was a few days ago. Was in New York last weekend, and it was freezing. My aunt sent me a screenshot of the weather there yesterday, I think it was, and it's 6 degrees Fahrenheit. Oof, man, oh man, oh man. And usually, like no matter what the weather is, I'm running in shorts and a t-shirt. And when I went on my run last week, I think it was last weekend in New York, my arms were freezing, like to the bone. And usually, I'm a hot runner. I'm hot. I'm like always warm. So always try to wear the least amount as possible. And then also running in cold weather. One of my biggest fears is sweating. I mean, if you sweat and you get wet in that weather, that sub-zero degree weather, oh my gosh, that it will crystallize on you, freeze and crystallize on you. and that's dangerous. And that's when you get like the chills and you start jackhammering and you just can't raise your body temperature. And I've had that situation a few times, and it is terrible. It's terrible. So I'd rather be a little bit colder, no sweat, t-shirt and shorts, than to wear too many layers and then start sweating under those layers and be wet and then not be able to raise my body temperature. So that's like my strategy. Anyway, enough about running. Don't get me started on that. Let's hop to some of these comments and we'll get into the show today. Actually, let me just pull up the agenda so you all can know what we're going to be talking about before we get into those comments. I think today is going to be a good one. Just some, I don't know, interesting topics, at least topics that I find interesting. And so to start with, there's a news TVJ. We're going to watch it. There's a TVJ news story talking about a development in Kingston, and it's been, according to the reports, been a nightmare scenario for these folks with the amount that they paid and also what they're receiving in respect to their apartments, and they've paid quite a bit of money for the apartment. And you'll see in the story that the construction quality is very, very poor, unfortunately. So we're going to go through that, but I think it speaks to a lot to kind of the theme of I wouldn't know if you call it a theme, but I would say one of the things that I was noticing last year coming up a lot, at least we covered a lot here on this channel, on this platform, and that is developers in particular not delivering on their promises. And it's becoming a real issue. And although there are great developers out there and there are great people who have bought into developments that are very, very, and they're very, very happy. So there's a lot of positive aspects to it, but I see developers taking advantage of this high level of demand that there is for housing in Jamaica, and especially for the diaspora looking to move back or invest in Jamaica now. And it's something to be very, very aware of. And I think it's just important to cover. And especially with the direction that Jamaica is continuing to go in, I think you're going to start to see a lot more of this come to light and to elevate, because it's going to pick up momentum. It's going to pick up momentum. So we're going to be watching that. Then there's this health and lifestyle coverage that they're also doing on TVJ, which I think is amazing and awesome. And it's really, really great reporting. And it's just talking about the price that people are paying, and really the country is paying, for the lifestyle choices, particularly with the food that Jamaicans are choosing to eat. I think that's cool. As somebody who's very much into health and fitness, we'll go through housing shift and affordability. This is something that we've talked about a lot here on this platform, particularly about young people not feeling as if they're in a position or will be in a position to afford to purchase a home. I think that's something important to cover. And then we still need to keep Hurricane Melissa recovery and rebuild at the forefront. And like I said, every week I'm going to do my best to cover some sort of elements or portion of that. And this is one thing that hasn't really been talked about, which is really the schools and the students. Some students still not going to school, and then some schools only having very limited days of going to school. And the Gleaner does a great job in covering that. And more talks about oil. We'll watch a quick video. It's like, I think 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, on an update of what has been, I don't know, discovered, and I'm not sure what the word is, but I don't want to get people too excited. I know we gone down this road before, but still extremely speculative at this point in time. And then we'll talk a little bit about macroeconomics towards the end if we have time. So it's a big agenda. I don't know, and these are very big topics. I guess it's always a situation on these Sunday live streams. We could spend the whole stream talking about one of these, as a matter of fact, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see what the engagement is like, and I will be guided by you all and what you feel the direction that we should be heading in and how much time we should be spending on each one of them. But I'm here. We started. This is the earliest we started this year. I know we're supposed to start at 12, but trust me, something always comes up. But we're getting there. We're getting closer and closer to 12 p.m. start. All right, what's going on, Phil? Wagwan, Donna Price chiming in from freezing cold Ottawa. Nice to have you on. Yolande, hello from Chile, Florida. Suzette, what's going on? And thank you, as always, for being a channel member and supporting this platform. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the channel members out there. Country Gal, hello. Drop from cold Boston. I bet it's freezing up there. Brick Axel, hi, Throp and Throppers. It's good to be here. Awesome. Nice to have you. Lorraine, yes, thank you. The Negril is one part of the Jamaica I have not visited. You got to come. Looking forward to having you. Joshua, what's up, man? Back in cold UK. I hear you on that. Don't worry. You're going to be here for longer soon. I'm very confident in that. Anik, hello, Throp and Throppers from very cold Montreal. Minus 19 today with the wind chill. That sounds frigid. Sue asked how much the 2-bedroom is. I think it was 691,000. She had mentioned Kanya in the video. 691,000. That's for a 2-bedroom at the Pinnacle in Montego Bay. If you want there's a link to the website in the description below. If you want more information, reach out to them. And if any of you reach out to them, please let them know that Throp sent you and you heard about it here. Always appreciate that. Fabsy, what's going on? Thank you as well for being a channel member. Appreciate it. And yeah, Agent 79 saying the pension looks top drawn, but that will reflect the price well beyond my means. And I say never say never. I say that with everything that we put on this channel, every real estate opportunity that there is out there. I always say, like, you may not be able to afford it now, but sometime in the future, I always say, put yourself in the mindset, if you really want it, that's something that you want to go after, that is, put yourself in the mindset that may not be today, but someday, and I say never, and he said never. They said never. Okay. Let's keep rolling here. 80s here. Happy Sunday. Power back on in Iron Shore. Love your Pinnacle videos. It's been quite cool. Emerald Bay, 19 degrees on Monday. Have you ever experienced so many days of cloud and cool temperatures? Yes. This has been, I can't remember it being this cold for this long, I would say, at least in quite some time. Usually Christmas, New Year's, I remember feeling that, but this was, I would say, pretty extreme. At least in my recent memory, this has been like pretty extreme. I haven't experienced this in quite some time. Windbreaker, thank you, Josh. That's the word that I was looking for. Georgina, good to see you. Nice to have you on as usual. Jay Fitz, New England and Seattle being in the Super Bowl. We're not on anyone's bingo card at the start of the year, so you're not alone. Thank you for that. Rick Axel says Pinnacle is surely beautiful. Truly a definition of luxury living development. That seems like it's not proving a point. Well said. Mosaic, what's going on? Peace and blessings, everyone. Jeff, hi, Throppin, everyone chiming in from Montreal. Shauna, happy Sunday. Beautiful people. Thank you all. Everybody I just mentioned are all channel members. Thank you. Appreciate you all. Celeste is watching from Calgary, Alberta. Brick Axel says the word developer is not synonymous with quality and integrity. There are great developers and bad developers and everything in between. More than having a team is to have a team with good chemistry. Well said. We're going to get very deep into that. Celeste says, keep up the good work. Thank you. Residential Blue chiming in from Punta Cana. Awesome. Georgina says, packed agenda. Glad I will be inside for this 19-degree weather. Oh, man, I feel sorry for you guys. Really frigid out there. Jamaica 278 says, notice Negril on TVJ News a lot. Was this planned? Yeah, they have a series coming out. Oh, well, they've been releasing them, and then I think they're doing like a full-length coverage of it at I forget what date it is. think towards the end of this month that they're going to be doing coverage. But I've noticed just in general, TVJ's reporting has just like really, really stepped up. It's gone very much more. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this. It's like it's gone almost very hard in the investigative reporting direction, which I think is amazing and beautiful. I think this is something that the country needs. And they're going deeper, not wider. You know what I'm saying? They're not trying to cover like all these things. Well, they're still covering a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I think you're seeing them going a lot deeper, and then they're going more episodic. So they'll be covering a story, but then it'll be over a series like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. So they're doing that with Negril. They're doing that with what I just mentioned, the food buy now, pay later, with the health and lifestyle, which we're going to get into. They're also doing it with residents and real estate properties. So there's follow up. It's not just this new story. It goes away and we never hear about it again. They'll do it and then they come back again with part 2 and follow up part 3, part 4. And I think that's really, really awesome. Like, hats off to them, just stepping up their journalism in a way that I haven't seen before. At least it's if they have, at least it's something that I have been taking notice of lately. Dennis Marshall says, welcome back. Love listening to your show on Sunday while here it's trying to stay warm in New Jersey. I bet. Nice to have you and be in everyone's living room or kitchen or wherever you're at. Mark Davis, hello, Throp. Great interview with T. Big up. And thank you for being a channel member. Yeah, so if anybody, let me cue that up. If you didn't catch it, we posted a podcast yesterday. And let's see if I can bring it up. So I did an interview with Tiffany Grant. I'm going to throw it in the comment section if you're not, just for your convenience there. And so Tiffany moved from New York. She's like myself. She's first generation American Jamaican. And she moved from New York with her 2 young children to Negril a few years back. And I had a sit down with her to speak about her experience. And just a very interesting young lady. And then also somebody who's taken the bull by life's horns, the bull by the horn, and just really created her own reality and just went after it. And I think there is a lot of lessons learned. Even throughout our conversation, I was saying this, it's like, man, there's just so many gems that she's dropping about her personal, internal, emotional experience and the challenges that she had in overcoming those hurdles. And then the actual experience of doing the move and living here and sending her kids to school. And also the doubt that I'm sure she had internally, but the doubt that was being cast by her family and her friends about making the move down here. And I think a lot of people go through that. A lot of people go through that. And I think it's going to help a lot of people. And she's going to relate to a lot of people. And you're already seeing it in the comments, you're already seeing a lot of it in the comments and people relating to what she has gone through and are appreciative of her sharing her journey and sharing her story. So yeah, give it a watch. I think it is really, really great. And I think her story is fascinating and very, very unique in its own right. But it also shows you it can be done. It can be done. And she was facing quite a bit of challenges. Let's put it like that. And she's making it work here in Negril in Jamaica. And says like you'll see, like she's made the best decision for herself and for her family on multiple levels. Please listen to Shona. Hit the like button on your way in. It helps out a ton. Felix, hello from Dallas, Georgia. Nice to have you on. Chris chiming in from Boston, Massachusetts. Currently 6 degrees. Oh, goodness gracious. Celeste, Tiffany was amazing and so engaging. A ray of sunshine. I was glued to the TV. Your program is fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And one thing also about Tiffany too, and I know a lot of people talk about this, is the health benefits of living here and moving here. And then sometimes also even visiting here for extended periods of time where people feel just different here, in being in Jamaica. And I think for sure it's a combination of the weather when it's like normal, not like it's been the last few days, but just the fresh air, the sunshine. If you're down here by the sea breeze, and then if you're in the mountains, all that greenery, and then just the lifestyle here is just very different. And she came from New York, right? So that's obviously a whole other kettle of fish, especially when you're comparing it to other parts of the country or even other parts of the world. And that in itself comes with its own level of stress and responsibilities, and all of that it can be very, very stress inducing, and it kind of in many respects comes with the territory. And it's not so much the situation, or it doesn't have to be. I think you have more options and opportunities to live almost an opposite type of life here in Jamaica, especially here in Negril. I'm always going to go to bat for Negril, no matter what. So yeah, give it a watch if you haven't already. I thought, like everybody, a lot of people here are saying it was a great interview. Even Felix is saying here, just watch the Tiffany interview, love it. Thank you, I appreciate it. Nicole says, greetings, Throppers from Toronto. Love the Tiffany interview. Great points that resonate and align for my move. Thanks, Throp. You're welcome. You're welcome, everybody. All right, let's get into the first video. Let me see if I could find it. 1 second here. Okay, 1 second. Found it. All right, so this is on TVJ. I'm going to take down the comments here so it doesn't get in the way of your screen, and we'll watch through, start and stop, that sort of thing.
Developer is being taken to task this evening over problems at a high-end St. Andrew apartment complex. Kirk Wright spoke with some of the homeowners.
Kimberly Martin says she used her life savings to purchase one of the penthouses at the recently built Dulwich apartment in Kingston. But Miss Martin says since then, she has been having countless issues with the building. She says her discovery started after collecting the keys to the 3-bedroom apartment last April.
Here you could see there's a hole in the ceiling. I was standing here and within split second as I walk away, a solid piece of that brick or drywall, whatever, it like literally fell and came crashing down. The thing is, when it rains, water piles up and it will come all the way up here because the water drainage pipe is too small. I'm like, I've not yet used my kitchen and my sink fell for $64 million. It's just very frustrating. It's a lot of money, $64 million. I worked hard to buy this property.
Most concerning for her has been the presence of moisture in a section of her bedroom wall.
When I first arrived back in
So just for context, $64 million is about approximately 413,000 US dollars, just for context, so everybody is kind of on the same page. So that's 413,000 US dollars for a 3-bedroom apartment.
April, I saw watermarks on the wall and I informed the builder through his agent or representative that there's water damage here. I was told that there was none. I consistently asked them to look.
She said the developer agreed to fix the issue, but simply plastered the wall and painted it.
I then, a month later, hired a mold remediation company to come out and evaluate the situation, because I noticed that the same spot that they claimed that they fixed, it came back. That stain came back and it was bigger. So they did the report. The report came back that I have moisture in my wall, and that the reason for it, the roof, because they had to go on the roof, the reason for it is that the roof needed to be resloped. There's no waterproof membrane on the roof. The pipes that is running through my wall, the drainage pipe, and also the AC pipe that runs through my wall, that is what's causing it.
It sounds like, obviously I don't know the details, but it sounds like the contractor skipped a lot of steps here. It seems like the pipe in the wall, the AC drain pipe probably wasn't insulated. Don't know what's happening with I don't know, maybe they used poor material on the outside in the beginning of the video. As she said, like it just dropped.
The homeowners at the complex show the signs of mold and flooding in their apartments. They too say they've been fighting to get their issues addressed.
My entire family has regrettably making this decision. We thought that it would have been our dream house for settling. Now we are on the verge of trying to get this sold and move on.
Does he have a baby in his hand? I can't tell what he's holding. He's holding something. Anyway, but I think this is like very, very good that they're doing this, these homeowners. And so the thing is like, I know certain developments that are happening, and I speak to owners, I speak to investors, and they're telling me about these nightmares that they're having with these investments that they've made. And these are supposed to be their dream homes, their dream apartments, and developers are not coming through on what they have promised and what they have paid for. But these homeowners are very scared to speak up, and they're scared because they're concerned about this investment they have made. And a lot of people, this investment is their life savings. And so they've done everything that they possibly can to scrape this money together, rob Peter to pay Paul situation, sold a car, whatever, to get to this point of affording this. I don't know if any of these people are and fall into that category. However, many people do. And so the fear is that if they speak up and they make noise about this and they talk to the news or they come on a podcast like mine, that it is going to bring down the value of this property that their life savings is in. So they'd rather be quiet and wait and then hopefully be able to sell. But then you just kind of kick the can down the road to a future homeowner, right? And so obviously we want to go upstream. And so the power in doing something like this and bringing this to light and just bringing it up is you disempower the developer, right? And you hold the developer accountable. And as I always say, in doing real estate deals or any deal in Jamaica, honestly, it's like you want to try to do your absolute best. And it's not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to be perfect, but you want to do your absolute best to put yourself in a position where you don't have to rely on judicial recourse. Like you don't want to go to court. You do not want to have to try to sue somebody to get what you deserve and get what you paid for, because it's a very arduous process and you could be dealing with it for years and perhaps even decades. Like that is common, at least to the point where I know quite a few stories that have gone down that route. And so you really, 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 really want to put as much effort as humanly possible into doing your due diligence and front load that due diligence and be disciplined. It will be a slower process. And sometimes you will be forced to go against your dream and your emotions, meaning that, and I see this a lot too, where there is a situation where you're buying a home or you see a piece of property, whatever it is, like this is, you just fall in love. And nobody can tell me that real estate isn't emotional, because it is. And people fall in love with the property. They fall in love with the beach. They fall in love with the mountains. They fall in love with this dream that is being sold by the developer. And you want to move to Jamaica. You want to live here. You want to have an investment. I get it. I understand. And that emotion is played upon. by bad actors. And sometimes it doesn't always start as bad actors. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of the intention may not be there to screw people over, but then it also comes down to the capability of the individual or the team that's there. And they just don't have the experience to pull off what they say they're going to pull off. And then things tend to fall apart and crumble. And so again, like what is the recourse of that? How can you get your money back? How can you hold these people accountable? And one of the ways that, again, that I haven't really seen a lot is what these folks are doing. And I think it's very, very smart and also very brave of them as well to be doing this. And I'm hoping that they get some sort of recourse with this. Let's finish watching the video and then we can have a further discussion.
Ms. Martin says she was assured by the developer Bancroft Clark that all the amenities would have been in place on completion of the property, but that has not been the case. She showed us a video of a masked man trying to access her residence. She says efforts to get the issues rectified have proved futile.
The first appointment that was set, he was a no-show. Second appointment that was set, again, he was a no-show.
The developer Bancroft Clark denies trying to hide from Ms. Martin, adding he has been unable to access her apartment to rectify the issues. Ms. Martin says she made it known to his supervisor of the complex that other arrangements were made to access her apartment in her absence. The developer told us he has recently terminated the services of that supervisor for not communicating with him the issues expressed by the homeowners. But he did say he's not averse to addressing all the issues, to include the security concerns and the absence of a generator at the complex. Mr. Clark did not want to speak on camera regarding the issues. Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
Man, I feel for her. I feel for them. And it's just a terrible, terrible situation. And as many of you who are out there who are considering lining yourself up to make moves that are similar to this, I don't want to see any of you in this situation or this predicament. And I really hope the young lady there and the other gentleman who's in the video, that these problems do get resolved for them. It seems like, according to the reporter Kurt Wright, that they are going to do something and that they are going to fix these problems. At least that's what they're saying. And I really hope that that happens. But also, again, like, would this be happening if they weren't on TVJ News? And it doesn't seem like it, right? It doesn't seem, I'm sure these folks have been trying. It seems like it, according to this report, they've been trying, calling, setting up appointments. They don't come, they don't show up, this, that, and the third. And then finally now, at least verbally from the reporting, that some sort of action is going to take place. But we don't want to get to this. But I will say, if you are in that position of this nature, and you're watching this and you've seen that story, I mean, I hope this is a lesson to you and that you shouldn't be afraid to come forward. And I think it's a poor strategy personally to stay silent in the hopes of things getting rectified and or in the hopes that it doesn't devalue your property because you say something and you bring it up to the media. And that's the main reason why I haven't talked about a lot of these things that I hear, is because people will tell me what's going on with certain developments and their experience and the developers. And it's a nightmare. It's a serious, serious nightmare. I told this story, I think last month on one of my lives, but I had somebody come to me maybe close to a year ago, let's say, and they asked me my thoughts on this development that was happening. And again, I get a lot of information, you know, and a lot of things come my way with this platform. And I knew what was going on the inside with this development and this developer in particular. And in not so many, I was very clear. You know, I didn't bash the developer. I didn't say anything. I'm very careful, if you will. I spread, like, publicly or privately, like how I talk about people. But I was very, very clear that, hey, I don't think this is a good idea. I think that you should reconsider and you should perhaps look for something else, somewhere else. And again, the emotion of it. And she fell in love with this place. She fell in love with this dream. And she wants to live in this particular part of the island. And I was like, listen, I know people who are in the inside and I know what's going on. I'm not there, but trust my word. Trust my word. And I would just recommend you not do it. They went ahead, they moved forward, they did it anyway. And just a few weeks ago, they came back and they said, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you. I'm sorry I didn't take your advice. And they got into all of everything that I could have told you. This is like a nightmare scenario. They're trying to get rid of it. It's there's a group of them who have saw the light, if you will. A group of these investors are part of this development, and they're trying to do something about it collectively. And I asked her, I was like, do you want to come on the platform and speak about it? And she's like, no, 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 I don't want to. I don't want the value to go down. How am I going to sell it? That sort of thing if I want to get out. And this is the exact mindset, like multiple situations of this nature all over the island, where people bring me these nightmare stories, but they don't want to talk about it. And they're scared because of devaluing their property or their unit or whatever it is that they have. And I'm like, okay, go with your instinct, go with your strategy. But it's like, do your homework first is what I'm really advocating for here, and do as much humanly as possible, as much due diligence on the developer, on the team. So important. We have some, my team and I, that is, we have some developments that we're going to be covering and we're going to be bringing to you guys. Like, I'm talking about once in a lifetime deals. I promise you. I've alluded to this before. I'm very excited for them, for you guys. And with that, an important part of like me bringing these deals to you guys is like me doing my homework as well, and me looking into the team, looking into like how they're structured, and mitigating risk as much as humanly possible. And of course, in any real estate deal, especially new developments, like there is a more risk than you buying into something that has already been completed. Like that's something that's turnkey day one that you pay for, but you're going to pay a premium for that luxury and that low to no risk, right? Because you can lift up the rug, lift up the hood, see what's happening. But in a new development, it's so important that and this is what I talk about in the video that we're going to be putting out, is that you know the team. We always talk about, and that you have your own team as well. If this is outside, if you're not doing your own construction, right? And that you have your protections lined up as possible, and that other people are looking into this as well. And you want, especially on the developer side, like you want all of these licensed professional individuals. And if you can get some sort of recommendation of their skill and then also their integrity, that's also great. And I know a lot of people don't have the time or the bandwidth to do the research and the homework on these folks, but it's well worth it. It's well worth it. And I implore that you do that. I also say, even from like a red flag perspective, when you start asking the developer these questions and they start getting antsy, or they don't want to answer the questions, or why are you asking me this? Or why huge red flag. Any developer should be more than happy to provide you that information of who's the architect, who's the general contractor, have you done this what's your experience in doing developments, who's their legal team. All these things, are just so important to understand who is on their team. And do they have, in your mind, you have to make up the idea or come to the conclusion, do they have the capability of completing this project? How are they financing this? All these things are very, very important, and also fundamental questions to ask. And if the developer is squirmish about responding to these questions or avoiding them, red flag, huge red flag. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to answer these questions. And it's important that you ask these hard questions, maybe uncomfortable for you, but it shouldn't be uncomfortable for the developer or the person that's selling it to you, right? And so if you're working with, and I always recommend this, if you're working with a licensed realtor, they should have all these answers for you as well. If you don't want to go directly to the developer, because if you're working with a licensed realtor, they have a fiduciary responsibility to have your best interests at heart, or they will lose their license and they will no longer be able to practice real estate and selling real estate in Jamaica. So always remember that. Work with a licensed professional, especially working with a licensed realtor. Extremely, extremely important. There are a lot of great realtors in Jamaica, and I know some people want to avoid that the commission fee. It's worth it. And same thing with a real estate lawyer. I know people trying to avoid that lawyer fee. Peace of mind, especially if you're not going to be here in Jamaica, especially if you don't have experience in doing real estate deals in Jamaica. Get your professional team in order. It's worth it. It's worth it. So worth it. Let's go to the comments real quick before we continue. There's I'm going to talk to you guys about this shortly after these comments, but I did a consultation last week with somebody who owns property here and is doing a development, and we talked a lot about the same thing I'm talking about here, the importance of building a team. And so I'm going to share some insights with you on the consultation that I did with this person. Man, I didn't realize I'm so freaking close. All right, let's go here with these comments. Everyone says, do we not have independent inspectors? What's the full end-to-end process like when buying a property? So there are inspectors, right? And so, but you're not going to bring the thing is, if you're buying into development, I don't know the structure of that development that we just watched a video on TVJ, right? But if you're buying into the development, you're not going to go there and start knocking on walls and checking concrete and all that sort of thing. Like, you're expecting, as a buyer, you're expecting all these to be done. But to answer your question, yes, there's supposed to be inspections done along the process of doing a development. And I'm learning so much about this, especially in working with the Pinnacle. We're putting out a video with them in the future. It is fascinating, absolutely fascinating to learn about the entire development process, the approval process, the different levels that you have to go through to get approval to do this, to get approval to do that, and to ensure build quality and all these things. And I don't know if some of these folks when I say folks, other developers are skipping these steps and they're somehow working around it. I'm not sure. But from my experience in working with the Pinnacle, it seems like there is a tremendous amount of regulation. There's also a lot of laws. The capacity of enforcement, I can't speak to, but it seems like Jamaica has a lot of great laws when it comes to construction and development. And seems like with the TVJ report that we're just watching here, a lot of these steps were overlooked, and unfortunately, these homeowners are paying the price here. Noel ZY6ZP question was unanswered. What's the updates on the monies that was given to Jamaica help rebuild Blacks River after the hurricane? I'm not sure. I'm assuming you're talking about I'm assuming that you're talking about the government. Are you talking about my GoFundMe? I'm not sure. I'm assuming Black River, you're talking about the government. I don't have an update on that, but we do have an update on my GoFundMe, which I've saved your comments, which I will come back to. And I think I already talked about what we did, but I can go over that again. I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but I will bring that up anyway when we talk about Hurricane Melissa stuff shortly. James Williams, this is happening all over St. Andrew, sadly. Yeah, that's tough, man. And a lot of these, and even with the consult that I'm speaking about that I did last week, it's the developers are taking advantage of folks who don't live in Jamaica and who are either part of the Jamaican diaspora or they are living and working abroad, and they are sending their monies down here to get their job done. in doing their development or their unit or whatever it is. And developers, contractors are really trying to take advantage of that. And it's, well, I'm going to say, and a lot of it is Jamaica. That's the thing that's crazy. That the diversification in the market of working with different types of contractors, it's no longer you only have to work with Jamaican contractors. The competition is getting fierce. There are Chinese contractors, there are Spanish contractors, and there are Jamaican contractors. Maybe there's more others, I don't know, but I know these are the three main ones, and the two new players are the Spanish contractors and also the Chinese contractors. And I will say this, a lot of people who have worked with, and I know a lot of people say this and that about the Chinese, but developers who have worked with the Chinese contractors, it's night and day. It's night and day. I'll say that. And I'm not saying everything is rainbows and butterflies, not saying that at all. But I will say having outside players come into a market in any industry, it elevates the level of service and competition. And I hope I'm sure Jamaican contractors are paying close attention. And so when something like this happens, and this is what I was saying in the consultation that I had last week, is that what's very, very unfortunate with our people here is that they are very short-minded, and they will take advantage of you on, say, this project that you're doing and skim off the top or charge a little bit more here and there, or take material. That's another common thing, especially if you're doing your own development. And they don't realize that when they do get caught on taking this quote unquote little bit of money, they will never work with that person again, and they will lose all future opportunities for working with them. And the consult that I had, this person is doing multiple developments around Jamaica, and he was having a challenge with one of his contractors that he knew and knows is stealing from him. And so, and the foolish guy doesn't realize that he's doing bigger developments in other parts of the country, and now he lost that contract because he's taking $15,000 extra on this silly little things. And it's just very, very, very short-minded, and it's unfortunate. And we need to really step up here. Really need to step up here. And I hate hearing these stories. Rastafari says, lived in NYC for nearly 50 years and now in Southeast Florida for 4 years, getting closer to the tropics of Jamaica again. Purchase land and start construction. Be aware of greedy and unscrupulous contractors. Yes. Great advice. And congratulations, Rastafari. Dennis Marshall says, it seems like a lot of these developers was built in all waters area with no proper drainage. I was speaking with, this is after Hurricane Melissa. I was speaking with somebody at the local planning authority here, and they were telling me that many places that have suffered flooding during Hurricane Melissa, they should have never been developed in the first place, because there is a recorded history of those places being wetlands or of flooding, and they develop them anyway. And so when we have severe or extreme weather patterns that we've been having recently, then the flooding happens, and then you combine that, like you said, with not having proper drainage, and it just goes back to, nature's just going to go back to what nature does and what it was. If there's a lake there, that lake is probably going to come back at some point in time. And so, absolutely, these are things that we want to be aware of. And obviously, you purchasing a development or into a development, you may not know that, but it's just something to take into consideration. James Williams says, with the developers rushing these developments and trying to cut costs, yes, yes, that happens a lot, and sometimes it's a money grab, because again, there's like the way Jamaica is moving and people investing here and needing homes and needing houses. developers who are, and I'm not saying not to buy into new developers or trust new developers. You just got to make sure that they have all their ducks in a row. But there are some new developers who are just coming and seeing the money grab and just trying to do it as quick as possible, sell it, and move on to the next thing. And they're not concerned with any culpability or the long term. And I like developers who are going to be like, I'm not saying this not to work with developers who don't do this, but this is definitely a green flag. It's like developers who are going to live on the property, are going to buy into a unit, or their family is going to be a part of it. It's like there is incentive there. There is self-interest, and so a lot of the developments that I'm talking about that we're going to be bringing up in the next few weeks fall directly into that category. And then also being a family oriented development, meaning like it's their family doing the development. I think that's also very powerful and another green flag, at least for me. 80s Hair says construction in Jamaica is surprisingly expensive, and it's only going to get more expensive. I promise you, with minimum wage going up, logistics challenges that we're having in getting material and anything into the country, everything's going to go, like, it is going up for sure. Noel says inspection without any on-site building inspection. These are the shortcuts happening that would happen. The contractors weren't stupid. Yep, shortcuts. Yeah, really, unfortunately, having the end user suffer the consequences. Developer, it was stated in the, I'm sure you saw it already or heard it. The developer was stated in the report there. Brick Axel says checking for every aspect of the project, substructure, foundation, and below superstructure, above foundation, checking the quality of the works that was specified. Noel says what most developers do, they're sell high and contract out low. You have to back the inspection process. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Let's keep going here. Brick Axel says, aside from that, poor workmanship and materials can be a factor. Yeah, there is. So I know for the Pinnacle, I know I keep talking about the Pinnacle, but I've just been spending a lot of time with them recently and just learning a lot. And so one aspect of their inspection is like they're inspecting the quality of the concrete. And like that's something that they're always doing, inspecting the quality of concrete. I mean, you're going 28 stories, like that concrete better be solid. That steel better be solid. So I know that's happening regularly. Again, very, very interesting process to learn about. Everyone Graham says, in my opinion, it's best to have someone not affiliated with the development to do the inspection, but I don't know, man. Very sad. Yeah, very, very sad indeed. Jamaica 278, Pyramid Point had stories we've talked about Pyramid Point as well. Like, yeah, really, really tough, sad situation there as well. I wonder where things are with that, as a matter of fact. Brick Axle, however listed, are expected intense. There are a million reasons that could have contributed to what actually happened so let there be no interpretations of tone of shaming and condemnation. Agreed. Like, so I'll say that you don't know that the intentions of the developer was bad, right? But I agree with that, and I will not say that that's the situation. But at the end of the day is the end product, and it's also what is the developer going to do to reconcile the situation. That's what's important here. Obviously, an egregious mistake was made here, but what is the developer going to do to rectify everything? I think that's all that matters at the end of the day, and I think that's all that anybody cares about. And like I said, I hope the folks who are suffering these consequences get made whole at some point in the future. They are the same developer building Paradisic Beach Club. Is it? Wait. Clear that up for me, James Williams. Who's the same developer that's building the Paradisic Beach Club? The same developer that did this Kingston development, or you're talking about something else? Are you talking about the Pyramid Point? I think that's what you mean, but please clear that up for me. Marcia Ray says, years ago, I stayed at a little resort called Extabi. Loved the ocean views and caves. Sabi's a great place on the West End here in Negril. Out of many, can all the tenants get together and file a class action lawsuit against the developer? That is happening. So that's what a lot of folks are doing right now, right? With these developments. And so I could name, I know 3 off of the top of my head. Yes, I know 3 off the top of my head where the tenants of these developers have formulated their own group, and essentially they're trying to take over the development from the developer because they're not doing right by them. Let's leave it at that. And some of them, at least one of those groups, they have formulated this group to file a class action lawsuit. But again, it goes back to my point. One of my original points when we started the stream here is that you don't want to do that in Jamaica. You want to avoid going down that path as much as humanly possible because there's just no guarantee. And you want to do as much of your upfront work as possible, your upfront due diligence, and front load that as much as possible. But yes, if you do find yourself in this situation, that is a route to go. That is a route to go. Rick Axel says, so that is a very important distinction. Not every developer has an appreciation for the built environment or care how people have to live. Some just need to know that they put money in and get profit. Yes, there's some developers that are like that. I could tell you, I'm not saying to go against it. Like, the corporate developers are like that too. That they're not, and it's just by nature of how things are structured, right? That they're not going to live there. They are these, a lot of them are REITs, real estate investment trusts, and they're collecting money and they're using it to invest, to build out real estate. But there's no like this internal incentive, if you will, like say a developer, like, so even Treasure Bay Estates in Treasure Beach, right? This is a family land that is hundreds of acres that they are now converting into a development, and they're also buying a unit there. Like, I love that. You're not going to get that every time. You're not going to get that every time. But again, that is a huge green flag. Like the incentive, like that to make sure that this project goes well is like, it's the family name that is from Treasure Beach, and then they're also buying a unit there, and it's a family development group. Huge green flag for me. Huge green flag. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get that a lot, but that's a positive and something to take into consideration. Ms. Town says, how can you recommend researching developers in Jamaica? It's kind of like what I've been saying, right? It's like, it's asking the right questions. It's asking the hard questions. My dad even asked me this morning, hey, what, is there a website out there where there's a blacklist of developers or contractors? I was like, no. I actually came up with this idea. I remember when I first moved to Jamaica, it wasn't about real estate. It was more so about employees, because I remember being at a Negril Chamber of Commerce meeting, or it might have been, no, it was a Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association meeting, JCA meeting. And a lot of the hoteliers were talking about their certain staff that they had fired from, say, X resort, and then they go to Y resort and they see the same staff working there, and they're like, oh my gosh, that person's a thief. What are they doing working here? And like in my mind, it's like, how can you put together some sort of database to protect properties from that? Like at the time, hotels. Like, and so same thing here. It's like, man, is there a database, or could there be a database of blacklisting people? And not to my extent, that doesn't exist. But I was like, hey, it's kind of what we do here at Throp Media, right? And at Throp X, which is we have their specific contractors, professionals that we work with, that we know of, that we trust, that not only have a high level of integrity, but they're also extremely good at what they do. And I mean, that is like the biggest thing of doing business in Jamaica. It's the people. It is the people. It's who you work with. And so I would say that is probably one of the biggest strengths that I have, is like my community and my network. And even on the consult that I had last week, is like, that's one thing. He was asking me about this person and that. I was like, yo, I got you, and and it's just like, I know when I give somebody a recommendation of whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a real estate professional, general contractor, quantity surveyor, I know that they're good to go. I know these people are high integrity people, high quality people, and just good human beings. And then also they are very good at what they do. But that's my advice, and don't go with your your best friend's cousin and your uncle, like all of that. Forget all that. Very rare does that work out. Very rare does that work out. There should be an objective, non-emotional process in choosing and working with these folks. Brick Axel says, good developers truly care about quality, and we have seen them in Jamaica. Many positive examples of developments that went well and customers are satisfied. Absolutely. Hundreds, like developments, that is. Great developments in Jamaica. Trust me. I don't know if, I just feel that there is an uptick in this foolishness that we're seeing here, or at least this more of it coming to light, which is great. But you're absolutely right. There are great examples of people being very, very happy with their development choices, their dream home construction choices as well. It's a dream home. Yeah, dream home. Sitting here watching says, I just got on, but it isn't it the time for the government to revise the building code? It's not the building code. Jamaica's building code is phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. Like, even look at, I know, like, a lot of things with Hurricane Melissa, for example, there are many buildings, Travelers Beach Resort included, that were more or less perfectly okay and fine with the hurricane. Even in Black River, there were many buildings that were fine, and they were built to code. They were built to code in many respects. I think the building code is going to change in Jamaica. I think it's in the process of changing specifically for these extreme weather events that we're anticipating going to become more and more regular. Unfortunately, knock on wood, that we don't have another one of these for many years to come. But nonetheless, Jamaica does have great building codes, but I would say more so it's on the enforcement side that needs to be looked at a little bit more. That's just my opinion. All right, let's keep rolling here. Noah says the government agencies do have inspectors. Sometimes the inspectors get paid out not to show up for the inspections, possibly. Brick Axles, but also to be clear about what you don't want and in experience when searching, so that way you're clear about who to shortlist. Joshua says, we have work to do in Jamaica. Most places in the world have safeguards processes, protections, and penalties when developing. Yes, I agree. There needs to be more work done with that. There needs to be more accountability. It shouldn't be left on, at least wholly left on, the tenants or the investor, the end user at the end of the day, to do things like this and have to get on the news and put themselves out here. There should be inherent guardrails of protection in place so these sort of situations can be avoided or just never happen. French contractors, thank you. When I was talking about the new contractors coming in, there's a French company that got the contract to do the NWC water expansion, which is we're gonna benefit here in Negril as well. Thank you for that. So let's expand that list. We have a traditional Jamaican contractors, we have the Chinese contractors, we have the Spanish contractors, and then the French contractors that was mentioned here. I forgot about that. Joshua says, margins are getting smaller for developers in Jamaica, and that pressure is causing developers to cut costs, saving above everything. Land costs, bill costs, materials, and professional fees are high. This is true. This is true. And somebody said it earlier that the construction cost in Jamaica is very high. And like I said, it's going to get higher. It's going to get higher. So, people who think that like real estate prices in Jamaica are high now, it's going up. There's no indication, there's no evidence that I can see that will indicate that the cost of building, the cost of land ownership, the cost of new developments or buying home is going to go down. There's nothing to show that's going to somehow turn around magically. And I always say, when Little Bay Country Club here in Negril was being developed, and it was like, I think $200,000 or $300,000. This was 2015, 2014, over 10 years ago. So many people like, oh, myself included, saying, oh my gosh, who's going to buy this? This is so expensive. Da 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 da. Man, 700,000, 800,000, 600,000. Like, that's what more than doubled at this point in time. And what would it cost to build those now? Incredible. And same thing with construction that's happening now. What it's going to cost to do that new construction in 20 years from now, it's going to be so much higher, so much higher. And so these are the things like you got to think long term. Like, if you can put yourself in a position not to wait, or you think like, oh, it's going to go down. Like, I don't think so. I don't think that's a good bet. I really don't think that's a good bet. James Williams says, all said and done, just bring back Cool Runs Water Park, right? Noah says, now that Americans is on the verge of collapsing and people are moving back to Jamaica, how hard is it for the diaspora to form an independent inspection group, no nonsense group? It's there. The inspection group, like the inspection is there. I guess I need to look into this a little bit more. Again, I'm referencing what I know. And I could tell you with like the Pinnacle and like I don't know if you want to call it investigative reporting that I'm doing and working with them. It's crazy, the inspections. It's so crazy. And like, it's on every level. And so I know it's there. And I don't know if they're just paying more attention to them because it's a bigger development. I'm sure. I think they're like, that deserves more eyeballs because Jamaica has never seen anything like this before in its history. So if that is the case, I understand. And I think it's okay. I think the developers too, I think they understand that as well, that they are constantly under a microscope. But that sort of scrutiny should absolutely be applied to all developments across the board. And just also remember this, as we're saying and we're complaining and we're advocating at this point in time, remember this as well when you yourself perhaps are doing your own development, or you're building your dream house and you're purchasing your land. And you want to make sure, as these regulatory bodies come and do these inspections, they're doing it, many times they're doing it for your own protection, these enforcement agencies. And they're doing it for the benefit for the environment and protection of the environment as well. So just keep that in mind for those folks who are going to be doing their dream homes in the near future and doing construction and developments of their own. Remember this conversation, right? And remember this level of accountability that we are doing on the developers outside looking in. Shauna says, Strop, when you mention consultation, what service do you provide? Good question. Good question. So I do consultations of all sorts. So if you're looking to purchase real estate here in Jamaica, if you're basically anything real estate, if you're looking to purchase real estate in Jamaica, you're looking to do development. And I've done a lot of these. I learn a lot when I do these as well, but I also am using my own experience to help people, to help groups of investors. And so if that's something that you're interested in, you can always reach out. And I'd say, this consultation was a consultation based on this individual was having some challenges with the development that they're doing. And I did my best to give advice on what to do in their particular situation with a contractor. And then also they were asking about advice on doing future real estate development. So they were asking me about specific real estate buys and also locations in Jamaica based on my recommendation and where to go, cost per square foot, like all that sort of thing. So anything that has to do with real estate for the most part. If I don't have the expertise or my team doesn't have the expertise, I'll let you know that this is outside of the scope of my knowledge and my team's knowledge, and I will say I can't do it. But I have not got to that point. No, everybody who has reached out to me to do a consultation, I have been able to accept as long as I have the time, and more than happy to help you folks out there, and avoid these situations and avoid these nightmares. And it's better to do, it's better to do this upfront work than to be paying for it on the back end, And so that's what I offer. Thank you, Shona, for the opportunity to speak to that. Let's keep going here. Jamaica 278. Hanan's Construction Group built most of those schemes in St. James. Not any better. I don't know which schemes, and never heard of that group. Annex is true about TVJ. Kudos, talking about them doing more investigative reporting. Yes, definitely. What's going on? Thropping, the walls of civilization. Thropping from Dallas. Always nice to have you on. Dennis Marshall, question: do they? I think you have land in Jamaica like the U.S. They can't develop our wetlands and in the system like this in Jamaica. Yes, absolutely. So we have protected wetlands here in Negril, the Great Morass, which is across the street on the other side of the beach road. I'm going to bring up the maps here, of course. Got to bring up the maps. So this is Jamaica here. We are going to be all the way here on the west coast, the westernmost part of Jamaica, which is Negril. And this is the 7 miles here. So this is 2 miles here. This is 5 miles here. So this is what makes up the 7-mile white sand beach of Negril. And then over here, this is the Great Morass, this huge area here. This is all protected. From what I understand, I got to get here at some point, but we have some of the best bird watching in the entire world here. And at some point I will do this, but this is all protected wetlands. This can never and will never be developed. And this is what makes up or allows us to have the white sand beach that we do. I used to know so much more about it when just back in the day, but part of the ecosystem that creates the white sand has to do with the wetlands. And so all of this is protected and won't be developed. Good question. Take that down. Rick Axel says, dealt with developers who will have solid character, delighted in quality and organized work. The work quality did not shift whether it was their company or they were repping someone else's. Yes, there are great. They're definitely great developers here in Jamaica. King Naldo says, happy Sunday, Throp and Throppers. Happy Sunday to you as well. Always great to have you on, Naldo. Noel says, I work with developers. Most of them only see the bottom line. I was told, can you repair the problem for cheap? It's all about the monies. A lot of times, yes. Okay, thank you, Jamaica's 278. You confirming Pyramid Point and Paradisic, same developers. Thank you. I just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you. Tudag says, where's the governmental oversight during construction? These problems should have been flagged. Agreed. I want to know more about that process, particularly on the smaller, on these smaller developers. I know I keep going back to Pinnacle. Trust me, there's crazy oversight, pop-up inspections, all this regularly there. I want to know more about the smaller developers. Kinaldo says, happy Sunday, Throp and Throppers. Here in Maryland, they have created special price control zones for moderate incomes to afford them the chance of home ownership. This model is needed in Jamaica. We're going to go into affordability of real estate shortly with another report from TVJ. Celeste says, this is very sad and unfortunate for these people who have worked hard all their lives to achieve their dreams and now might spend years trying to get their money back. How sad. Yes. And we want to avoid that. We wholeheartedly want to avoid that at all costs. I want to avoid that for every single one of you out there as much as possible. And this could be years, over a decade that they could be dealing with this. I really hope not. Jay Fitz says, until JA addresses these types of issues and others by the government, comparisons should never be made to Singapore. Fair. We will get there. I believe we will get there. I really do believe we'll get there at some point, though. Mr. Info, what's going on? Afternoon to you as well. Noah says, why is it throughout the Caribbean countries, most of these builders do these bad things to our black people without any serious punishment to them? Hopefully there will be consequences. Hopefully there will be consequences and accountability on all of these situations. Sydney, you're watching, says, when a developer applies for a permit to build, what are the factors taken into consideration by the development department? I'm not sure. I'm sure it's a rigorous process. Almost everything in Jamaica is that you have to go through, honestly. But I'm not sure. Great question, though. I'm going to save that one. So that says, Jamaica is missing out on thousands of Jamaicans that would love to return home. We are afraid to be taken advantage of, especially when you are of a certain age. I get that. You do not want to be at or near retirement age and dealing with this. And, that was one situation that I had dealt with that was unfortunately told to me. This couple, again, not going to say the development, this retired couple bought into this development, and man, nightmare situation. And these were one of the folks that I was saying that they're scared, that they don't want. And I asked, I was like, hey, can I talk about this on my platform? They don't want to do it. They're scared that the value of their investment is going to go down if they speak publicly about it. And this is the fear that developers use on these tenants, unfortunately. But yeah, you don't want to be at retirement age doing that. And, and they're getting it from all angles. They were telling me too that even the lawyer that they're working with, or we're working with, I'm not sure if they're still working with them, it's like taking advantage of them, which is crazy. And it's like they are in cahoots with the developer. That's why you got to know your team. You got to have a good team. It's so important. All right. Out of many says, Strop, why don't you start a clearinghouse of developers and contractors that can be seen online all over the island? In a way, I do that already. That's one of the biggest advantages that there is with ThropX. And it's not just a list, right? It's like when you come to ThropX, whether online or whatever, or in person, you get to meet them and you get to understand who they are, what they're about, learn about their expertise, learn about their experience. And I think that is one of the advantages of being a part of this community is that network. I think it's huge and very, very, very important. But doing it for the wider Jamaica, something I'll take into consideration. But for right now, if you're here, you're on a Sunday, you ask me a question. And you see who I bring on the program. You see the professionals that I bring on the program. Like all of these people have been vetted to some extent, whether I have worked with them personally, that I call them my lawyer, or they're a contractor, they're a contractor that I've worked with, that I trust. They're on the platform. And then you can also not listen to me. You can go through the conversation that we have on the podcast. And you can learn about them and who they are. But if I'm bringing them on the podcast, and I'm not bringing anybody on here, and I protect you guys. When I say you guys, I protect this community as much as humanly possible. And I do what I can to ensure that nobody slips through the cracks. And I'm sure that everybody who comes on here is not going to be perfect, but you can know that I've done some level of due diligence on these folks, or have worked with them in some capacity. All right, let's keep rolling here. Jamaica 278 says, apart from the developers, some people don't like paying for professionals, engineers, project managers, QS. People are not like paying for professionals. And I always say this, and we'll talk about this in the consultation when I come back and talk about the consultation that I did. That's a lot. That's one thing like a lot of people don't like paying for. I feel like it's expensive. Is the QS. It can save you. They're going to save, especially, I always say, if you're going to be doing construction from abroad and you're going to be trusting a contractor with your money, you're sending money down, you got to have a QS. You got to have a QS. I think it's essential. You're paying for a peace of mind. I know it increases up on the upfront. It increases the cost of the project development that you're doing, but man, my goodness, you could be saving yourself just a crazy, crazy headache in the long run. I mean, it's worth looking into, put it that way. All right, I'm going to speed through these comments so we can get to the next topic. Let's see here. Shauna Throp, how can people reach out for your services consultation? Yeah, thank you again, Shauna. You can email me, throp@thropmedia.com. So if you want to work with me, you can, and you're looking for a consultation. If you're doing a project or you're doing a development, or you're interested in moving here or moving there, whatever it is, you can reach out to me and we can see if we can set up a consultation for you and get you on the schedule. More than happy to do this sort of thing. I only do a few a month and that's also why I don't really advertise it, because I don't always have the time to do it. And so this is not, I enjoy doing it because like it's just so direct and so specific. But that's also why I do the podcast and I do the live stream, so that I can help more people, if you will. You know, I can help so many more people. Not that I don't want to help you individually on whatever project that you're working on, but I can help more people with a podcast, more people with a live stream. But if you do need that individualized, specific help on your project, your unit, your home, whatever it is, you can reach out to me, throp@thropmedia.com. Thanks, Rona. Tudag says, Mr. Holness is asking us to return home, but seeing this, we're looking really hard. Where is he on this? I mean, so yes, we're talking about the challenges of investing in certain developments here in Jamaica, and it obviously does exist, and in a very real way. But at the same time, there is a lot of simple ways to avoid this. So many, and I'm sure the young lady and the gentleman that was in this news report, there are many things that they overlooked. I'm sure. Just, they're kicking themselves, and they're like, oh man, I knew this. I should have asked this question. I should have looked into this. I should have done that. I'm sure they're having some sort of regrets into the process that they went about in their investing journey. And so there are ways to avoid this, many, many ways to avoid this, many, many simple ways to avoid this. And so, and then also, like we were saying before, there are many, many, many more positive stories and dream-like stories of people moving here, living here, investing here. But we need to talk about these bad ones, right? So that we can avoid other people going through this. And and not everybody's going to see that news story. That's also part of the reason why I'm bringing it up here. Not everybody's going to see it. So we're going to talk about it here. And I'm sure many people who are on this stream never saw that news story. So there are people now, you are seeing this. Hopefully you're not going to get caught like this. Hopefully that you are not going to go through a situation anywhere close to this, and you're going to heed the advice that I'm telling you right now. And you're going to ask the hard questions. You're going to learn about their team. You're going to have your own team, and this will never happen to you. Or at least you're going to do everything in your power to avoid a nightmare scenario like this. Johnny Johnson, El Paso, Texas. Juarez tuning in. Awesome. Nice to have you as always to the masterclass on Jamaica development. Appreciate that. Thank you. Kevin Jackson's, what are the plans for Lucy and the flooding situation there? I will save that. Are you talking about, oh yeah, that was, I heard about that. I'm not sure. We're going to talk about that. I saved your comment. Established says, as with most things in Jamaica, the laws and rules are already in place. Sometimes for decades. However, the enforcement of these laws and rules has always been the drawback. Yes, that's true. That's true. James Williams, would you want to see developments like the Pinnacle come to Negril? No, I don't think that's 28 stories in Negril. I don't think that's appropriate for Negril. Maybe maybe outside of Negril, going more east, perhaps. Maybe Savlamar. That's turning I could see that turning into a city. As that population grows. But I don't think that's for Negril. Negril is super low density, and I'd want it to continue to stay that way. I do want to have more floors, but do I want to go to 28 stories? I don't think so. First said that there's not much recourse except years of litigation. I agree. Johnny Johnson says, if the Negril community in Jamaica government can revitalize the Negril Reef, it will return to Jamaica to the greatest on planet Earth. Man, well said. Thank you for that. Well said. And I think that needs to be, it's such a huge, enormous focus for the renaissance of Negril that is coming shortly. Huge. Thank you for that. I am screenshotting that. I am saving that. Very important for the future of Negril. The foreign speculator, based on the challenges, you're really better off engaging a quantity surveyor and developing land yourself instead of trusting any developers or contractors. The risks are too great. But there's different type of investors out there, foreign speculator, right? There's so many people that don't want to deal with, that don't have the time to do that, to build a home, to do your own development. I would say most people, there are people out there that have $500,000 burning in their pocket, and they want a place in Jamaica, and they just want to give their money, pay their money, and then when it's done, it's done. They come, they live, or they spend extended periods of time here in Jamaica. And I think that's a lot of people. A lot of people fall into that category who don't want to necessarily come in here and deal with construction, deal with contractors, deal with architects. A lot of people don't want to deal with that. And so there has to be, and there is, ways of providing that type of product, if you will, and that type of experience. What is the latest on the hotel in Negril that was purchased by a group of investors? Which one are you talking about? There are a couple. Yeah, there are a number. Let me know. Which development are you talking about? Which I might have missed this, might have came in late with that. Peter says Negril is missing an opportunity with this. The Great Morass and the Royal Palm should be an attraction. Agreed. That's actually part of the future, as I was talking about the renaissance of Negril. That is part of the future. And so what they're going to be doing is, here at the Royal Palm Reserve, they're going to turn this into an eco park. So we're going to have an eco park, which is it's so important. It's going to be great as an attraction, but then also what you do psychologically, especially for kids, is that you create a sense of great importance of the environment. And I could tell you, I could already see there being field trips of kids going there, are going with families on weekends to going to the Royal Palm Reserves and being in the Great Morass and getting an understanding of how important the ecosystem of Negril is and the Great Morass is, and getting that understanding from a young age. Very, very important for the future viability of the country and of this community. So that is coming. That is definitely coming. James says a lot of fear-mongering tactics. Yep. Sean is setting you up for the alley-oop. Appreciate it. Thank you. Ronnie Boom says ThropX 2024 had a great panel on all stages of the development process, from the site survey to a lawyer to all aspects of construction. So thank you for that. We're going to actually be releasing that soon, because we've been seeing a lot of this going on. So we're working on that. That is coming out very, very soon. And you'll know who these regulatory bodies are. And then you'll also meet, virtually, of course, you'll meet many of these great people that I keep telling you about, that I personally entrust and I also recommend out there for you to work with. And so we're going to release that panel shortly. What are my rates on my personal consultation service? It really depends. So it depends on what you're looking for, but generally it's between $300 to $500 an hour, depending on what you're looking for and how long. If it's going to be many hours, it's going to be on the lower side. So I try not to kill anybody, but at the same time, that's why I don't like doing this. Trading my time for direct dollar amounts, because it also takes a lot of preparation to go. Not that I don't like doing this, but I don't do it often, because it takes a lot of preparation to go into these consultations. And then there's also the consultation itself, but then there's also the post-work consultation, because a consultation, for me at least, a consultation never ends after we hang up the phone. There's always work to do afterwards. And I try to do my utmost and my best to make sure that whatever problem or challenge or dream that you're trying to achieve by having the consultation with me, that is fulfilled to the greatest extent of my capability. King Naldo says some of these developers are banking on pre-selling units to fund the remaining phases. However, there are over a dozen sites that are abandoned and left buyers stranded without completion of timeline. Yes. I'm sure we've seen this, where you're driving through certain parts of Jamaica and you'll see a beautiful wall for development, but like when you drive past the opening, there are no homes. And this is what Naldo is referring to. Carlene, is it confirmed that Negril will be the next urban center? Yes. So the prime minister, he talked about that. He didn't break it on my podcast. The first time I heard about this was, I think, February 2024, if I'm not, was it 24? I'm getting confused. No, February 25. And then, February 2025, heard about 40-acre development center. And I believe it's going to be, I think it's going to be the largest in Jamaica. Somebody can fact check me on that. 40 acres is quite large. And yes, confirmed it on my podcast. And then it also came up last week at some point. He was talking about it. But that is from what I understand. I've been thinking about Negril can become a blue zone since it's going through a transformation phase. Blue zone, Negril can be fitted for a renaissance. I think so too. I don't understand if it's so challenging for someone to go down and develop on their own property. Why is Jamaica allowing this and willing to lose such an incredible opportunity? I don't think it's particularly hard. Like, it's not harder than anywhere else, I would say. But you can't go, I don't think you can come here to Jamaica and invest and develop like you would in New York. But at the same time, I don't think you can do the same thing in Spain. Like, it's just going to be different. And there are certain things that you need to look out for. And as I always say, it's working with the best people. You're going to avoid some of these disasters. You really, really are. You're going to avoid some of these nightmares. Great question. Out of many asked, when is the airport coming in Negril side? I'm ready to come down and visit your hotel soon. I don't know. We had the airport authority scheduled to be at ThropX 2025. See, Melissa happened, but we're trying to get to the bottom of that. We're trying to confirm them for May ThropX, and I think it's so important. So they want to come. We have a great relationship with them. We really do have a great relationship with them. And when they were here last time, they did a phenomenal job. So we're trying to get them to come to ThropX May 2026. So ThropX is so those of you that aren't aware, I have my own investment conference that I host here every year, but this year we're doing it twice. So from May 24th to 30th, we are doing ThropX 2026 Spring Edition, if you will. And I bring together the best, the brightest in real estate and real estate development in Jamaica to Negril here at Travelers Beach Resort. And you learn from them, from the panelists who are there. We have 2 days of panel discussions. And then we also have 2 days of real estate tours. And as I always say, it's like, you want to feel and see different real estate around Jamaica to have an understanding of what you would be paying for and what you'd be investing in. And so This time around, we are doing a Negril real estate tour, and then we're also doing a Treasure Beach real estate tour, which I'm very, very excited for, to be going to Treasure Beach. And that was the plan for 2025, but obviously the hurricane happened. So we're still going to be going there. A lot of things happening in St. Elizabeth. We're probably going to be doing, my idea is to also incorporate the wider St. Elizabeth into it. We obviously have to, going from Negril to Treasure Beach, we have to go through Black River, which is ground zero for Hurricane Melissa. So you'll also see that in some capacity. And we're trying to also work with the officials in the area to get an understanding of what is happening with development and also the rebuild of the area. Of course, we all want the best for Jamaica. We want the best for St. Elizabeth and Black River. And so learning about what those plans are and also the timeline, I think are very, very important to that process. James Williams asks, are there any update on White House Beach Club? No. That's also another one of those sad and unfortunate stories. Was supposed to be this poster child of grouponomics and developments, especially on the South Coast. And no update that I'm aware of at this point in time. Jay Fitz says those are reasonable consulting rates compared to the amount of money and heartache you could save. Yes, exactly. That's the way I look at it too. It's just like, man, pay the 300, pay the 500. You're going to avoid so much pain, and you're going to make money off of it, especially if you're toward the execution phase of doing an investment or developer. I mean, at any stage, I would say, you want to pay for that up front. Ronnie says, by the way, right about TVJ reporting, they are doing more investigative type reporting. James Williams says, when is Harmony Cove Resort being built? Can you cover it like how you covering the Pinnacle? Sure, if they want to work with me. Yeah, sure, if they want to work with me, I would love to. I don't have a timeline on that, but as soon as I have more information on that, I will share with you all. All right, we're at like 2 hours. We did only the first subject. That's crazy. All right. We're going to need to take a quick break here. If I could find a video. Which video should we play? We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about the next subject, which I can't even remember. I'm trying to figure out which. You know what? We'll do a quick Travelers commercial here. There's so many. I got too many videos here. Okay. We'll be right back in about 5 minutes. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the tour today. And we're going to be taking a look at the newly renovated bungalows, or otherwise now known as the cottages, which we've gone through about half of them so far. And we're looking at cottages number 4 and 8 at this time. And this is just a view of the balcony. We changed the entrance from being in the middle. And so if you are familiar with the property, there used to be an entrance for 2 rooms in one of these bungalow housing structures. And now each bungalow, each room has their own entrance to the side, and a little bit more privacy as well, because we split the balconies. So you don't necessarily have to talk to the neighbor if you don't want to, but you can of course go around if you would like. And moving into the room itself, these are brand new beds and frames and new design with the throw pillows and the standard pillows in the back there. And then you can also see the kitchenette unit that we renovated, and we'll get to in a second. Also, we added a working desk with a charging station. So you have USB and also Type-C there as well, right below the television. And that's for anybody who wants to get some work done, especially those work from home people. And this is a wider view of the room. And I just want to make note of the AC, because these used to be fan-cooled rooms, and now we got rid of the louver windows. And so now it's completely sealed up, if you will, with, as far as the windows go, brand new windows. And also want to bring attention to the ceilings. So the ceilings used to be flat, and now we brought them up to an apex to give a little bit more room and make it feel a little bit more spacious, but still maintain the coziness. And also bringing some more attention to the far right corner of the kitchenette that we have, and we'll get to that in a second, and also the newly renovated bathroom. So we basically gutted this entire place. Even the floor tiles are brand new as well. And this is another angle of the bed, and just want to bring some attention to the LED bed frame, as well as the embedded nightstands and lamps, and another view of the kitchenette, I should say. And as you can see, it has basically all the utensils and tools that you might need to cook a meal. Included is a mini fridge there down on the left, and a hot plate, coffee maker, ice bucket, all the knives and utensils that you may need to feed a small family. Not necessarily Thanksgiving dinner, but you can definitely chef it up in there, especially if you're staying for an extended period of time. This might be a perfect type of accommodation for you. And that essentially is the kitchen. And now moving on to the bathroom. And as I mentioned before, like floor to ceiling, new floor tiles, new ceiling tiles. Got the LED frame around the mirror just to give a little bit more lights. We changed out the square louver windows for the ship window, I guess you can call it. And we got the rainfall shower head and the glass frame shower door. Even the towel holders, those are all new. And again, trying to bring together everything in the room, the kitchenette, and to complete the cottage experience, if you will. So very happy and proud of how this was done, and really wanted to give a modern look and feel to this new room category, the cottage. And so also with this wide angle, want to bring attention to the closet. So you got some drawer space there, and you got some hanging space as well, and your safe, of course, and the ironing board is on the other side in between the closet and the window there. And yeah, another angle of the room, and also want to bring attention to that long standing mirror there, so full frame mirror. And that essentially is the bungalow, and this is kind of our way of paying homage to my dad and where he started from with this hotel, Travelers Beach Resort. Started right with one bungalow and grew to the 60-room resort that Travelers Beach Resort is now. And my dad hasn't seen it as yet physically. I think he's seen pictures and everything like that. So just want to share this renovation. Hey there, Drop here. I wanted to interrupt just for a minute to tell you about my family's hotel, Travelers Beach Resort. We are a 60-room Jamaican-owned and operated hotel located on the world-famous 7-mile white sand beach of Negril, Jamaica. My father started this property back in '94, and myself and my brothers Winfield and Wingate took over in 2011 after my father retired. Recently, we've made some upgrades to the property, particularly to our rooms. They've been redesigned and reimagined with comfort and style at the forefront. The textures, the light, the layout, each space was designed with intention, balancing modern touches with the familiar spirit of travelers. Our deluxe rooms and suites, which you are seeing on your screen now, have gone through an incredible transformation. We now have 2-bedroom suites available for your accommodations next time you're in Negril. We're especially proud of our gym. It's designed to give you a high-quality workout experience with premium equipment, plenty of space, and an energizing atmosphere. Our lounge has become one of the more popular public spaces, perfect for a family game night or catching the big game. Of course, our restaurant and bar is located right on the beach, so you can enjoy the most beautiful sunsets in the world. We look forward to welcoming you home. For more information, please visit www.tbr.travel.
Welcome home.
Throp here again. As you're probably hearing, Jamaica is on an unprecedented economical tear, and I know many people are interested to learn how they might be able to buy property in Jamaica, move here, or even start a business. Enter ThropX. This is my annual Jamaica investment conference hosted at Travelers Beach Resort in Negril, Jamaica. If you're even considering moving to or investing in Jamaica, this is the best low-risk opportunity to do your due diligence and network with the very people driving the country forward. This event brings together a group of hand-picked, trusted, top-of-their-field individuals, the best developers, contractors, real estate pros, lenders, and government partners, all under one roof to help you make your move. This is very much an action-focused premium conference experience geared towards empowering you with the tools and team necessary to create your Jamaica dream. We've partnered with the Tax Administration of Jamaica to help you get your TRN and even open a bank account, all conveniently located on conference property. One of the most popular parts of the conference is the real estate tour. It's the best way to understand Jamaica's real estate market, seeing and experiencing properties firsthand so you can compare apples to apples. Another incredibly valuable part of the conference is the people you will meet. Attendees have been some of the most dynamic, inspiring individuals I have met doing incredible things with their lives. As always, this year will be fun, educational, and actionable, giving you the tools, insights, and connections to invest, build, and move to Jamaica. For more information, please visit thropx.com and join our mailing list. All right, we are back. We are back from a little breaky break. All right, let's see where we are on this agenda. Number 2. Okay. 2 hours later. All right, I think we're going to skip around. We're going to go to the, let's do the housing one. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Oh my gosh, where did I put it? Oh, guess we're not doing that one. Hold on. I can't find it. Oh no, that was a good one. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. All right, this one was on it was supposed to be on rising housing costs in Jamaica. Hopefully I have it up here somewhere on my million tabs that I have open. And it doesn't look like I'm finding it. All right, I think we're going to have to move to here's another million tabs. I think we're going to have to move on. I can't find it. Sorry, everyone. I don't want to hold you up here.
I've been keeping a.
Okay, we'll go without it. Let's move on to health stuff. I don't know how that had happened. I had everything lined up here. Hold on, maybe I do have it. Oh, 1 second. Oh, no, same thing. Okay. All right, we're gonna move into the health stuff. This came up. Somebody was talking about this earlier. Let's go to the shorter version. There's a 12-minute one, and there's a 4-minute version. We are going to go on the 4-minute version here. Or maybe we should go to the 12-minute one. I feel like let's do the 12-minute one. I think this is good. You know, Shauna, I was going to ask this. Just a consideration to keep future agendas to 2 to 3 topics so you don't feel rushed. I was going to ask that if it's better to do just one or a couple, or do we want to go through a bunch? So does everybody feel that way? Can I do a poll? How do I do a poll? Like we just focus on 1 to 2 subject areas instead of hopping through a bunch. Let me know what you think. Got Shauna's vote. But I think that's better. At least that allows us to kind of go just as deep as we just did. All right. So let's let me know what you guys think. Why isn't this clicking? This is not the one. Oh yeah, this is the one I'm looking for. Okay. I want to add this there. This is going to, I don't know why, but it's only coming out one speaker. Let me know if that's happening to you. I don't think there's anything I can do about that. Okay, everybody's saying yes, agreed. Great suggestion by Sean. All right. No poll needed. All right, let's watch through this a little bit. We might skip around a little bit.
Welcome back. Continuing the news. It should be quick and cheap, and it's everywhere. The sizzle is familiar, and the speed is comforting when it comes to fast food meals, which has created convenience locally. But the bill doesn't always come at the counter. Now, TVJ News contacted major fast food franchise operators for a comment, but received no response up to news time. Nakinsky Robinson has this primetime news special report, Bite Now, Pay Later.
Fast food in Jamaica isn't just growing, it's accelerating. From new branches, new franchises, new drive-thrus, and crowds that just don't seem to slow down. But behind the boom, there's a growing question. Yeah, while we're expanding fast food, are we quietly expanding something else? Or national health bill? It's built for speed, but when it comes to our health, the brakes may be failing.
Where the issue comes in is that most of these foods, they have a high caloric content and they're high in nutrients of concern, which are your unhealthy fats, your saturated fats and trans fats, added sugars and salt or sodium.
Since the 1970s, Jamaica has seen a surge in international quick service restaurants. It's a growing fast food congregation as new international entrants are steadily adding their names to the local roll. On the surface, the boom is beneficial.
So employment is one, the income is another one, access to quick food service. And then because that is international, you are seeing it on the investment side.
While government earnings through taxes and fees are not widely available, as these companies are privately owned, it is estimated to be in the billions. But at what cost?
When you look at the data in the Jamaica Health and Lifestyle Survey, which was on 2016 to 2017 and published in 2018, we found that 1 in 2 Jamaicans age 15 or older are overweight and or obese. 1 in 3 persons, or about 33% of the population, is living with hypertension. 1 in 8 is living with diabetes. And of greater concern is that 1 in 4 are even unaware that they are living with hypertension or diabetes.
The study also found that those NCD rates were highly attributed to unhealthy eating patterns. Now, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, in that subsector of restaurants, U.S. fast food franchises comprise 50% of the local market.
The more urbanized you get, it's the more likely that persons are to actually go and purchase food overall instead of cooking food at home.
For many, fast food is no longer a Saturday treat. It's a lifestyle. Social media, convenience, and low-effort meals have shifted the nation's taste.
Yeah, there's a demand. There's a demand, and it's help. But especially for some of us who work, and you know, when you stay at work late, we know what cook is really like unknown. So,
but the convenience of it makes it readily available for you to just indulge. You know, probably take an hour or two to cook something, right? Properly.
But the effects don't clock out. This versus this. One takes time, the other minutes. At the time of airing, we counted more than 250 fast food restaurants in the country.
I mean, I'll say this on the whole situation. This obviously isn't unique to Jamaica. Like in America, like you understand the health profile. Maybe you understand the health profile in Jamaica and how much it has gone down. And in America, and how much has it gone down. And it's coming to Jamaica, and it's really affecting the health profile of our nation. And I look at European nations, and you look at their rules and their laws, and it wasn't until I started going to Europe, probably like in the early, like 2012, 2013, and you realize, or just kind of going more regularly, and you realize that their food is just different there, and that you can't get a bunch of the American stuff, if you will, that you're used to, that I was used to at the time, at least. And the M&Ms, the cereals that has like all these artificial food coloring and all these sugars. And I just personally feel like there should be more regulation in Jamaica in terms of what we accept and put on our shelves in our grocery stores, and then also the types of food that we are able to serve to the public. And the reason why this is important, like, I'm very passionate about health and wellness pretty much my whole entire life. But the reason why I think it's important for this forum is that, like, this reporting is alluding to and saying, is that this is going to be a cost on society. And the folks who are unaware that this is happening to them, and when I say unaware, meaning that the marketing that goes into convincing people to buy these unhealthy foods and these just, the trans fats, especially the trans fats, saturated fats, there's the high sugar. I hate to say it like this, but like, it's the truth, is like, they're going to become a burden on society. And I think it's going to be so normalized that such a great percentage of our population are going to be forced to be put on these drugs, hypertension, everything, right across the board, to keep our society alive. And I've made reference on this platform to this book I've read a few years ago called How Not to Die. And the premise of the book is essentially advocating for a whole food vegetable based diet, but just avoiding a lot of these trans fatty foods. And I'm missing the terminology that they use in the book. I can't remember. And it's saying that, most people, like, they say people die of old age, but usually there's a cause behind it. And a lot of this, particular to Americans, is a lot of it is lifestyle induced morbidity. And a lot of it can be avoided. But the way the book has been written, it really speaks to the psychology of the entire food industry. And it's not even conspiratorial. It seems very apparent and makes very so much sense to me. Ultra processed food. Thank you, Ronnie. God, thank you. I'm putting that up. Ultra processed food. That's what we want to avoid at all costs. How, as much as possible, can we avoid ultra processed foods? And that is what ultimately kills you. And it's like these silent killers of over a number of years of, like, this tasting good, that tasting good. And you're just slowly putting a little bit into your body, over decades and decades and decades. And then, man, I mean, I don't got to tell you what happens after that. We kill ourselves. And so, going into the psychology of it, right? The marketing that goes into this is beyond, and this is from me as a filmmaker, the coloring choice, the word, the tonality, the bright lights, like all of these things, like, this is so incredibly intentional. And that in itself is addicting, and it gets you salivating and gets you want to go to this fast food place and that fast food place, right? By seeing this marketing on your television, or your phone, or your computer, whatever it is. And then in addition to that, when you actually taste this food, oh my gosh, addicting. Also, so it's just like this vicious cycle of creating this addiction. And then it just becomes part of your life, right? It just becomes part of your life where you're just eating this horrible food of, breakfast, lunch, and you just don't even think about it. You think about putting food on the table, going on vacation, maybe going for a run here, but that's it. That's it. You just put this poison into your body. And then after big food, big marketing, then you go into big pharma. And after you poison your body for all of these years, now you need to keep yourself alive, and you have to pay for that in being on these prescription medications. And, once you're on them, for the most part, you're not coming off of them, and you're paying this money every single month until you're no longer here on earth. And a lot of this can be avoided. And then on top of that, we are becoming, I was just watching this YouTube video on how, as a society, speaking, I think it's globally, but I think it was talking about Americans in particular, of just how much we are just sitting down more than ever, and we're not getting up and moving, and we're not exercising. We're on our phones and we're on our computers. And this is like a combination that's going to create disaster, and has created disaster across humanity. And it's just like a terrible cycle to be in. And so I'm just doing this, and I'm talking about this from an awareness standpoint. And then also, I'm concerned about the healthcare system in Jamaica. And man, imagine like the percentage of people having hypertension going up even 2%, but imagine it being 10 to 15% over the next decade. And that's very possible. That's very, very possible. And it's going to put a strain on our healthcare system, and then also even our working society. And it's just something that, we don't really think about a lot, but man, I think it's very important. Let's keep watching.
You're filled with energy, but it only lasts for a very short time. You're hungry much sooner, and then you have to eat again. The Food and Agriculture Organization says that 20 to 50% of the products used in fast food are imported. But economists argue the long-term cost of diet-related diseases outweighs the revenue.
On the NCD side, what you have is an increase in overall costs to the system, as well as an increase in cost to the individual themselves. Because it would have an overall healthcare impact, it would increase the cost of insurance premiums. So the insurance companies are going to come in and say, okay, we have more and more persons who are getting these lifestyle diseases earlier, and we're having to foot the cost to pay for the medications. So that means that because this group is more unhealthy, then we're going to increase the premiums.
And even with adjustments to local menus to offer whole foods and vegetables, Rosanna Pike, Advocacy Officer for the Global Health Advocacy Project at the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, says it is still best to prepare meals at home.
You have control over what you are putting in the family pot or your, single pot right there. So you can gauge how much fat, how much salt, how much sugar, right? And you can gauge, how much vegetables, staples, whole staples you can afford.
And in the face of the boom, healthy but comparatively pricier options have been popping up. But with smaller portions, it's hammering home that it pays to be healthy.
Fast food may be filling the stomachs of Jamaicans, but healthcare professionals say the true impact isn't measured in store openings. No, it shows up years later in prescription lists and hospital wards.
In 2020, NCDs accounted for 77.3% or 17,180 deaths in Jamaica, according to data from the Population Health Status Report 2024. The third Jamaica Health and Lifestyle Survey from 2016 to 2017 shows that 7.8% of Jamaicans report consuming fast food at least once a day, and the cost to treat them runs into billions every year.
In excess of $10 billion to treat with NCDs, lifestyle-related diseases, the hypertension, the diabetes, the cardiovascular disease. It is projected, however, to almost double over the next 10 to 15 years based on the current trajectory. So we are projecting, based on studies that have done, that it could get to $17, $18 billion per year based on early onset of illness from the young right through.
The World Health Organization estimates that about 69% of all deaths in Jamaica are caused by NCDs, which include cardiovascular diseases. Now, the health ministry says consumption of trans fats raises bad cholesterol levels, which increases the risk for heart diseases. Dr. Tufton says the government is now working to eliminate trans fats in the local diet. But Dr. Ahmed Soliman Hegazi, cardiologist at the Heart Institute of the Caribbean, says he's already seeing many Jamaicans presenting with heart attacks.
Definitely, there's an increase in the heart attacks, especially with aging population, and that you can see it either here in Kingston and the big cities like Montego Bay and so on. But you can see it like for an extra extent in rural areas.
Are we building economic convenience or a future health crisis? Health officials say Jamaica must consider this question for every new franchise. Dialysis alone costs hundreds of thousands per patient annually. But when added to lost productivity, sick days, and long-term complications, the franchise boom may be fueling health costs the country can't afford.
So say, for instance, if you are getting sick more often, then you eventually take more sick days, which means less time at work, which means less productivity for you as an individual, less productivity at work, which would then lead to less productivity for the company and the country overall.
The Ministry of Health tells the TVJ News that non-communicable diseases are projected to cost Jamaica approximately $17.2 billion in lost productivity over the next 15 years.
It's so important that we link human capital development to health and healthy living, which is why we have to do programs at the very onset of pre-birth, the expectant mother, and how she treats with herself.
For prevention, the ministry has been pushing the school nutrition policy, which establishes food standards in schools and reduces exposure to unhealthy diets. However, while the policy awaits implementation, a concerning trend that has been noted in recent years is where fast food restaurants have replaced the typical cook shop canteen setup in some schools.
That policy is now almost a reality. Cabinet has signed off on the approach. What we need to do now is to develop the programs in the schools to support healthy eating. What that will mean for providers of foods to students in schools on the compound is that they will have to adjust their menu.
As for the returns on life,
studies like the PAHO NCD investment case shows that, hey, the return on investment is estimated at about 77.1 billion Jamaican dollars between 2017 to 2032, about 5,700 lives being saved, and we're restoring over 67,000 healthy life years.
I met with the minister again, and he admits that fast food means big bucks for the economy. But when asked if Jamaica's heartburns could be soothed by restricting certain types of food in the free market model, he gave this response.
Right. I'm always cautious about depriving persons of choice. I'd rather say to the industry and to those that are seeking to establish the aspects of the industry here, that they should see their role not just as getting consumers to buy into what they're offering, but also demonstrating good corporate social responsibility and giving consumers choices that includes a healthy option or a healthier option.
Mr. Moore.
I'm going to disagree with the minister on that one. You can't, you can't, it's not aligned, right? And what I mean by that is because you're also fighting, like we talked about before, the psychological battle from a marketing standpoint. You're fighting that battle, and it's a hard battle to win because when you go on YouTube or you go on TikTok or whatever, these are the advertisements that you're seeing. They're getting your favorite influencer to come onto their program and advertise the fast food. And especially with our young people, that a lot of these influencers are appealing to and are influencing, and they're watching them be aligned directly with these fast food places, and then they want to go out and buy the food. And on top of that, it tastes incredible. And it's a battle that we cannot win as a society. It's I think it's an illusion, impossible. And I think from my perspective, the better way to go is to go more of the European model, where they're forcing restaurants, supermarkets, etc., to make sure that they don't have certain products in their food. It's completely banned. And I know from a geopolitical standpoint, this is difficult to achieve, right? Because it's imagine telling these multinational, multi-billion dollar American companies like, hey, if it has red 23 or whatever in the product, like have like my bag of Skittles here, like I'm I'm completely contradictory here and being a hypocrite, but if it has certain coloring in it or certain ingredients, it will not be on Jamaican shelves. That's the way it should go. But I know that has some sort of domino effect, right? Where, all right, if you do that, then we're not going to invest here, we're not going to invest there. And then again, like the minister is saying that there is, and from a right now economic standpoint, it's in creating employment, it's creating construction, and also you have food as well. It's a restaurant, right? But man, I think the better route to go to save many, many lives, is to ban certain ingredients that go into the foods. And if it goes in, that inherently was like, okay, if your chicken McNuggets have, maybe I shouldn't say that, but there's no McDonald's in Jamaica. So if your chicken McNuggets have XYZ ingredient in it, you can't sell it in Jamaica. So that comes off the menu. And so like when you go to like certain McDonald's, I love going to McDonald's, it's my favorite fast food restaurant. Thank God it doesn't exist here in Jamaica, but I have it every now and then. But if you go to McDonald's in Europe, the McDonald's there is healthier than it is in the United States because they cannot put certain ingredients that you find in that is just so much more poisonous. In America, you can't find them in their products. So I think that going in that direction is just better for society as a whole. But I understand you would be cutting off these billion-dollar companies from coming into the market and saying no. And imagine, I think Jamaica would burn down. It's just like, no KFC, no more KFCs. We're shutting them down. Like, obviously, you can't do that. But for future investments coming in from the fast food side of things, I don't think you can really stop that. But I think you can put certain parameters in place, and maybe even on the advertising side, there's a lot of regulation on YouTube, particularly advertising to children, which is, from what I understand, it's like not allowed. And you want to do something like that because, again, psychologically, it's a war that we cannot win as humans. Like, we just don't have a chance. Let's finish up here. A couple more minutes.
Actually believes there are more gains from the fast food industry locally, but he agrees that there is need for a middle ground.
What kind of standards is government going to impose on these companies to say, can you make your products healthier? Can you provide less sweet drinks? Can you reduce the salt? Can you reduce the salt content in the formulas? Can you reduce, let's say, the amount of added salt you add on fries, for example? How can you make what you are providing healthy?
In a country where NCDs already claim thousands of lives each year, the price of convenience may be more than Jamaica has bargained for. 2 buildings, 2 choices. One offers convenience, and the other treats the consequences tomorrow. Mackenzie Robinson for TVJ News.
Well said. Well done. Well done. I love that. Let's go to the comments here. I think this is a great idea. Silk says we need healthier chains to come to Jamaica, like True Food Kitchen, Cava, Medicino Farms, and Sweet Green. The only one I know there is Sweet Green, and it's great. I think that's a great suggestion. Hopefully, they can do it. Fast food also, it's not only fast, but it's cheap, right? And I hope these can come in to compete on pricing, that is, with these other unhealthy fast food options. Georgina says, sadly, again, only American fast food restaurants were opened in Kingston, both Christmas and Boxing Day. Less people cooking at home these days. Wow. Jala says Japan have very strict rules for school children nutrition in schools, as does France. Yes, I think that's one place that we can start as well, is with the children. Georgina makes another great point. Additionally, healthy eating should start at home. But man, the way I see some of these parents eat, you try not to judge, but oh my gosh, it's just so bad. And I see it here a lot, even like, I don't know if anybody's going to watch this from our NEAT class. So we had our last NEAT class, tablet class on Saturday, and they had it was a party for the students and the parents, but it was just like, what is that? It was just all fast food. It was just all fast food from a pizza place down, and the name pizza place downtown, chicken place downtown, fried chicken, pizza, soda. It's just like, oh my gosh, like it's just terrible, really, really terrible. And I try not to judge, but it's more so, there's an awareness gap of like how harmful, I should say, just indulging with this food every day, and you just know that it's just regular everyday stuff, and it makes me sad. It honestly does make me sad, because it's like, man, we're just setting ourselves up for failure in many regards. And then it's on the other side of it, it's not easy to have a regiment of exercise. And that's probably the hardest part, one of the hardest part. And that is so important as we age and as we get up there in years. It's cardiovascular health, flexibility, and strength is just so important. And especially with older women, it's a focus on bone density. And it's just like, man, it's just one of those things. It's like, man, like you see it. And I think because I'm hyper aware, because myself and my brothers, we just pay attention to this stuff and on a regular basis. And like, this is what we consume. And we're always talking about this, sharing articles, sharing YouTube videos with each other, and asking, how's your fitness journey? We don't talk like that, but it's just say how your fitness journey is. How was your workout? How was Muay Thai? How many times you ran this week? And this is just such a natural conversation for us to have. And yeah, a lot of folks aren't talking like this and aware. So I guess for us who are in the stream, make sure you hydrate. Everybody use this opportunity to drink some water. If you haven't drank water today, or if you haven't had enough water, you already know. I know it's freezing for a lot of people out there right now, but when you can, get your walks in. I mean, 15 minutes makes a huge difference. If you can't get to the gym and you can't get into a regiment for whatever reason, we can all walk, right? Hopefully, if you have the ability, if you have the capacity to do that, get your walks in a few times a week, half hour, 15 minutes, an hour if you can. Oh man, it's just going to do so much for you in the long run. And then also just being in your own, whether you listen to music or not, or a podcast or something like that, maybe that's your incentive to go on the walk. But if not, and you're just being in your own thoughts and being able to slow down and think. So there's like a duality of positive consequences that can happen by doing this. So yeah, keep all this in mind. If you're here in Jamaica, you can go for a walk. No excuse. You can go for a walk. Go for your walk, and make sure you get your stretches in as well. Even if it's 2 to 5 minutes a day, makes a huge difference as you age, and just staying nimble and being flexible. Very, very, very important. I don't mean to preach at you guys, but little things help. Little things help. Helps a tremendous amount. And you're going to feel so much better too. Jay Fitz says, now is the time to invest in pharmaceutical companies in Jamaica. Yes. With KFC, Popeyes, etc. In Jamaica, there will be infinite sick customers in the next 10 to 20 years. It's happened here in the United States. Yeah. Sad reality. But these insurance companies, they love us, the ones who are eating healthy, who are exercising, because we're bringing premiums down for everybody. The pharmaceutical companies hate us because we're not going to be customers of theirs, and we're not going to be buying into these prescription medications every single month, because we are avoiding that. We're avoiding that as much as possible and trying to keep it natural. So we will be the enemies of these pharmaceutical companies, right? And be healthy and stay healthy. Mr. Info says, as a country, we need to be careful about what we eat because some of our good nurses are not planning on returning home. There you go. Let's call you Yaz. Those American food companies are trying to destroy Usain Bolt and Shelly Ann's. There you go. I'm not drinking water today. It's a tequila day for Super Bowl. Hey, come on, Jay Fitz. This is not the type of message that we want to spread around here. You're going to need to hydrate because you're going to need to recover tomorrow, even if it's a small amount of recovery. So make sure you get some, even if it's soda water with that tequila afterwards. All right, let's go to the next. What are we going to do here? All right, let's go to Hurricane Melissa stuff here. Oh, why is that not working now? Man, is that sorry, the link might not be working, unfortunately. Okay. Of course, it's not working when we need to go. But maybe I just talk. If it doesn't work, maybe I just talk about it. Okay, it's working. All right, let's bring this up. So this is the next article we're going through. This is on the Gleaner. Let me throw this in the comment section here. I don't know why that came into two links there. But anyway, this came out Sunday, February 8th. Empty desks shattered routine. Schools confront absenteeism as storm displacement leaves several hundred students missing. Oh, this is a long article. Okay, we're going to have a quick discussion. We're going to read a couple paragraphs and we'll have a quick discussion here. In classrooms across Western Jamaica, empty desks still tell the unfinished story of a hurricane whose most lasting damage may not be measured in roofs lost, but in children still unable to find their way back. Principals, guidance counselors, and social workers have been crisscrossing communities, dialing dead phone numbers, knocking on doors, and following rumors of families who have moved on a mission to find students who have vanished from classrooms after Hurricane Melissa tore across the island last October, uprooting homes, livelihoods, and in many cases, children's connections to schools. Months later, hundreds of students remain unaccounted for or absent, not because they refuse to learn, but because survival intervened. At Anchovy High School in St. James, Principal Laverne Stewart said that the hunt for missing students has been relentless since January, focused largely on children in grades 7 and 9 who simply did not return to schools when open. We had 51 students who were not able to account for, and we were able to notify some who had migrated internationally and locally. Some students were taken by their parents overseas or migrated to other parishes based on what happened to their homes in Western Jamaica, and we are now down to under 20 students that we are not yet able to find. Skipping down, a wider national challenge. Governmental data suggests that these school level struggles are part of a wider national challenge, according to the Ministry of Education. Data given to the Sunday Gleaner on February 2nd, some 583 students across Jamaica's seven educational regions remain temporarily relocated at other schools following Melissa. 2 weeks ago, Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon told the Senate that post-hurricane absenteeism was at 18% in Region 3, covering Trelawney and St. Anne, 28% in Region 4, which includes St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland, areas that suffered some of the worst infrastructural damage. Deeply troubling. Some commending the efforts of the Education Ministry to stabilize schools. NSSC President Brian Anderson said the continued absence of students is deeply troubling. What we need right now is to ensure that all necessary measures are in place to bring our young people back into the learning space. I'm concerned by the number of students who have still not returned to school based on statistics provided by several institutions, because the longer students remain outside of the education system, the harder it has become to recover academically. All right, going to leave that one there. And so there's a combination of that, and then also a lot of these schools are not back to normal by any stretch of the imagination. Even Manning's, there are, at least up until last week, students are only going to school 1 day a week, which is crazy. But it is what it is in the sense, or like from the infrastructure standpoint, we obviously don't want to put students in harm's way in being classrooms that the building infrastructure is jeopardized. But also there are many classrooms that are missing roofs. And so it's an extremely challenging time. And I think it's something that we should be aware of. Speaking with literally a couple of parents, 2 parents that I know that have students that go to Manning's, like the onus is being put back on the parents, which is, to make sure their students stay engaged, their children stay engaged. But it's just like one of these things that I think a lot of people are not thinking about or haven't thought about in a while. And so I just thought it was important that we bring this up. We bring this up on the podcast today, on the stream today, and just kind of, letting people know, like, this is far from over. This is far from over. Post Melissa, that is. We have years of challenges ahead of us. All right, let's go to. All right, we're gonna start wrapping up here. All right, we're gonna talk about. Let's do the oil. No. Before the oil, I thought this one was a good article. Some macroeconomic stuff. All right, this is. Can you see? No, you can't see my screen. Government signs letter of intent for subsea internet cable connection project. All right. The government has signed a letter of intent for a subsea cable project to internet connection for the country. The letter was signed by Transamerica's Fiber. The company is currently 60% complete with a project that will see 7,000 kilometers of cable installed across the region. The move is expected to see Jamaica connected through a branching unit that will result in 20 terabits per second of bandwidth. What? That's crazy. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness addressed the signing ceremony Tuesday morning. The Prime Minister says the passage of the Hurricane Melissa showed that the country's telecommunication infrastructure is in need of greater resilience. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, meanwhile, Telecommunications Minister Darrell Voss says that all of internet services providers operating on the island will have access to the subsea cable. Minister Voss says Jamaicans are expected to start benefiting from the services by 2027. Awesome. Dr. Darrell Voss, Minister of Telecommunications, was speaking at the signing ceremony of the Office of the Prime Minister on Tuesday morning. I think that's huge. I think that's great. More resilience as it comes to telecommunications. And then also those speeds are absolutely incredible. All right, let's talk about oil. This is going to be the last one.
Suggestive of a thermogenic
hold up.
which means
I haven't even watched this. This is just on Twitter, and it was kind of going crazy on Twitter. But let's watch this real quick. Oops, what the heck? Okay. All right, let's do it.
Suggestive of a thermogenic origin, which means that it's more than likely coming from a seep on the seabed that's venting up. So a diesel would have a different seismic or different geochemical signature to what's seen on that squiggly graph that you mentioned earlier.
There's really just an awful lot of evidence then. So we've got a proven system onshore. we've got an awful lot of direct evidence offshore with the satellite information tied with the seismic interpretation plus rock chromatography. So, everything's pointing in the right direction, that we do have a active petroleum system in the offshore as well as the onshore.
Yes, what we're hoping to do with the piston coring is we've got a lot of that circumstantial evidence in the basin areas with the satellite imagery, the seismic anomalies that we see as well. What we're going to try and do with the piston coring is ground truth those that circumstantial evidence with a bona fide sample from the seabed, which holds thermally derived hydrocarbons in it.
I don't know what any of that means, but it seems, I think the bottom line here is it seems like there is continued optimism and great potential for Jamaica to have oil on the offshore, which is going to, as I said before, something like this will and could change the lives of every little boy and girl in Jamaica. I think that would be incredible. Then that would be incredible. So just something that I want to, kind of continue to pay attention to and be aware of and bring that to the forefront here. All right, I think we're going to wrap up here. I am like starving. Hold on, there's some comments that I saved. Yeah, I'm starving. I'm going to go get some food. But this is a good stream. But I will take the advice of everybody of for the future, we're going to keep to just 2 to 3 topics. So we'll do that instead of doing all of this. Let me see here. Like this was the agenda. We got through a few. Yeah. I think we did good. But I would obviously love to spend more time on some of these topics. I would love to spend more time on some of these topics. So I think we're gonna call it a wrap there. What time it is? It's almost 4:00. And we'll be back again. We should be, but we might have a shoot next week. I'm not sure on Sunday, but if not, we'll be back again here, same time, same place. This was cool. I'm gonna try to start at 12 o'clock instead. I know I've been promising that for weeks, but something always comes up. But thanks for joining. Thanks for spending your Sunday afternoon with me. Everybody, please stay warm out there. And hopefully you're coming to Jamaica soon and you can get into some warmer climates. Wishing you all a great rest of your Sunday and also a great week ahead. And I will see you all soon. Peace, everybody. Today, we're visiting the Pinnacle's beautiful 2-bedroom sample apartment located on the 3rd floor of Tower 1, the Swallowtail Tower. This unit is lagoon-facing, offering open water views and a peaceful backdrop that defines the overall atmosphere of the space. This tour will give you a real sense of what to expect from these residents and what living will feel like here. The apartment features a double balcony, ensuite bathrooms, and a thoughtful layout designed for comfort and flow. So come along and join us for this stunning apartment tour. So Kanya, this is a 2-bedroom that we're seeing, the concept 2-bedroom.
Yes, this is our 1299 square feet lagoon facing 2-bed.
Okay, and we are on the 3rd floor?
We're on the 3rd floor. And remember, living starts on the 3rd floor. So this is the lowest possible level to live, lowest view that you'll get. Everything else is elevated, it goes up. So it's 1299 square feet. It's open concept, living, dining, kitchen. 9.5 feet is the distance between the ceiling and the floor. Category 5, hurricane-proof windows and doors. Quartz countertops, recessed lights, central air. And the furniture, of course, is for staging purposes.
Okay, and so everybody will have an opportunity to choose and design, decorate?
It depends.
Okay.
So in the residential tower, this tower, yes.
Okay.
But if you're in the Canary Tower and you're going to want to put your unit back with the hotel, we have a tier, different options that you can choose from.
Okay. So obviously fully customizable, dream furniture, dream table.
Of course,
that you want.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And now moving into the bedroom. Which bedroom
Primary
is this?
bed.
This is the primary bed.
This is primary bed. So you get this view. It's a rainy day, but still a beautiful view.
Definitely.
From this primary bed, look at the space. It's a king-size bed, night tables. You can recline here, ensuite bathroom with a wet room, right? Because you have your big bath where you can soak, and then there's also a shower.
So that's one thing that I really like about this is that
the space.
The space.
The
I didn't know
space.
that's what it's called, the wet rooms.
I just had a client say to me the other day, that's not really a bathroom, it's a wet room. And I'm like, yeah, it is a wet room. It's a wet room. You close this door and it's a wet room.
And it definitely has that indoor-outdoor feeling.
Yes. And you won't be outside looking in, you won't be able to see, but you can stay inside and look outside. So you can be soaking while taking in that view.
Yeah, nobody can see you.
Yes.
That's good. That's awesome. Yes. No, I love the layout. I love the tall ceilings as well. I'm a huge fan
of high ceilings. Yeah.
Definitely.
Very nice.
And you get 2 balconies here.
Yes. So you have one to the left and then one in front, and then this one. Ooh, you feel that breeze?
Yeah.
This one goes all the way down to the secondary bed.
And I also like the fact that each bedroom has its own bathroom.
And closet.
And closet, right.
Own bathroom and closet, so you can have your own privacy. One thing else that I like about this, about all the units, although it's central air, each unit still has your own control. So you can have the AC out here, the master one is on, and you can adjust it to what you want in your bedroom, on, off, whatever the temperature. You can do that in your bedroom.
Very nice.
Closet space, bathroom. See how the lights came on? See how the lights came on? I didn't touch anything.
I love it. Nice. Very nice. Again, tall ceilings, tall enclosure as well.
A lot of space for showering.
Tons and tons of space. I love the inset as well. Anytime I go, it feels like a hotel, you know. And
the finishes? Yes.
The finishes, but anytime I go to a hotel, like the bathroom is so important. And having that, as simple as that is, it is a huge convenience.
It is, absolutely.
Very beautifully designed. And this behind us with the balcony.
This is a balcony with more views.
Very nice.
Grade 12A porcelain tiles. And same, we're consistent with the windows and doors, 9.5 feet. Category 5 hurricane proof.
Excellent. And we just went through Melissa. Still here. No problem. Nothing. No issue at all.
No damages at all.
And I would presume that because the glass is so thick and it is made for that type of impact, that's why it's so quiet in here.
Exactly.
And you don't hear the outside traffic or even the rain that is coming down right now.
You hear nothing from outside.
That's crazy.
There's construction going on right now. You don't hear any construction noises. Once they're closed, that's it. It blocks out all the noise.
That's huge.
Amazing.
Talk about peace and quiet.
Peace of mind, serenity, relaxation. Yes.
Oh, this is great. And how much would a unit like this go for?
This right now is $691,000. This exact unit.
$691,000.
Yes.
Man, get it while you can.
Get it while you can.
Get it while you can. Now, this is absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Kanya, for taking the time.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed the tour of this 3rd floor, 2-bedroom, lagoon-facing apartment at the Pinnacle Swallowtail Tower. If you'd like more information on the Pinnacle, please scan the QR code on the screen or visit the link in the description below.